Well, for one final time, good evening and welcome to the National Cycling Centre. The Manchester Velodrome is the stage on which our final acts will be played out here at the National Track Championships. And without any further ado, let's get the first racing underway. We're not messing around here at the British National Track Championships. And we've got a superstar on the track in her opening race of the semi-finals in the women's sprint competition. Rhian Edmonds taking on the newly crowned European champion and Olympic gold medalist from Paris, Emma Finucane. And this is a best of three in a match sprint situation, the first of two semi-finals. And alongside me for the final time to enjoy the action this evening, Alice Wood. We are not messing around here, getting straight on with the action, Alice.
Yeah, racing starts at 4, so the whistle goes at 4, and riders rolling away from the line. We can just see Finucane. She is the rider at the front of these two in her stars and stripes from the European Championships. This is probably the race that we can predict a little bit more than the Heat 2, but anything can happen in these match sprints.
Emma Finucane has been pretty imperious in her progress through to this semi-final, put under a little bit of pressure perhaps by Ellie Stone in the first of their matches last time out in the quarterfinals. And what can Rhian Edmonds do against the supercharged power of Emma Finucane? Well, she's got onto her wheel, which is more than many a rider has done so far in the championship. Question is, can she get out of that wind shadow, out of that slipstream, onto her hip and past her? And the answer is almost inevitably no.
And much like we saw in the men's match sprint, it's kind of a judge of effort for this. So the winner of each heat will go into the gold and silver medal ride-off. The losers of those go into the bronze medal ride-off. So, of course, is it kind of giving up defeat for this rider against Emma, or do you save some energy for that bronze final later on, or do you really try and push her for the line and try and hope she makes a mistake? But having to make a mistake in 2 rides isn't something you would see very much from a rider of her calibre.
Well, Edmonds got closer to Finucane than any rider has done so far. She threw the kitchen sink at the European champion, but came up just short. So Finucane with 1 foot already in the gold medal runoff. And if she is going to progress almost inevitably to that gold medal match, who's going to join her? One of these 2 riders, Iona Moyer, up against this woman, Rihanna Paris-Smith, who is perhaps one of the, I wouldn't say surprise package, because she's a great rider, but she'll be very pleased indeed to be in this match, and in with a chance of progressing to the gold medal match, in with a good chance as well, because having taken the bronze medal in the Keirin yesterday, she is full of confidence and round by round getting better, seemingly.
Yeah, definitely. She's looked really strong in this whole competition, really, and she is one of the fastest P1 riders in the women's team sprint as well, so she's got a massive amount of power in her legs. But we can just see them rolling away from the line here. Moore, she was 2nd fastest qualifier this morning in the 200. Paris-Smith was 6th fastest in that, but still only 0.1 between them.
So Paris-Smith leading off, looking over her right shoulder to keep out of the corner of her eye some sort of a measure on Moore, who's just dropped about 4 bike lengths off. Half a lap complete, down on the back straight now and entering the banking. Moyer absolutely impassive, no twitching, no moving, no deviating from that line. Following that back wheel for now of Paris-Smith, but edging a little bit closer to her as Paris-Smith just slows right up, down on the Côte d'Azur.
And once she gets going, Moyer really solid on the bike as well. She was up against Katie Marchant in the previous heats and it looked so strong, going straight through into the semi-finals for 2 rides against Katie Marchant. But she's getting height on the track at the moment.
Paris-Smith trying to keep her pinned up there, preventing her from using that banking to drop down and take the racing line. So Paris-Smith doing a really good job of shutting her out now. And Moyer trying to get round Paris-Smith to take the line. It's a sprint for that first corner. Neck and neck they are, side by side. What a contest this is. Moyer having to go the long way round. Paris-Smith with that petrol acceleration. This is going to be very close. It's Paris-Smith and Moyer. Moyer gets there to take the first of the races. What a thrilling encounter to get us underway here.
That was so close, and we did say it was going to be the closer of the two rides in these two heats that we had. But yeah, very impressive from both riders, both looking solid and neck throughout that whole lap. But of course, Moy had to go the longer way round to get that done.
It wasn't until the last 30 or 40 metres that you had an inkling of which way that would go, and in the end it was the last 10 metres where the lunge came from Moya. And in the end, the margin of victory is half a bike length over Paris Smith. But that is an impressive ride from Moya. And I don't think Paris Smith is done yet in this competition. But it will be last chance saloon for Rihanna Paris Smith next time around to try and stake a claim for a place in the gold medal match. If not, she will be racing for bronze next time around. Right, from the sprint now to the endurance, but staying with the women, we have the final of the women's elimination. The two qualifying heats this afternoon were abandoned due to the lack of sign-ups, so there weren't quite enough riders signing up for this event to justify the running off of two qualifying heats, and as a result everybody has gone straight in who's signed up for this event into the final. So we've got all the star quality that you'd expect from this final, but within this bunch we've got a variety of different abilities, but probably half a dozen riders here, including Jess Roberts, who you can see alongside Maddie Leach there, who really sort of fancy their chances of taking the medal.
Definitely, it's a tough race to win the elimination. It's a very easy race to get wrong. So making sure you're in the right position, not putting yourself in the position to potentially be eliminated, which can happen to some of the stronger riders, getting eliminated often earlier than we would expect from some of those riders. So really tactical race, but of course in the end does also come down to the strength.
Karis Lloyd. We've got the defending champion here. This championship was last held in October, so Phoebe Taylor was crowned elimination race champion back in October, as Anna Morris, all in black, heads to the P1 position down at the bottom of the track, and Katie Archibald is in second place up at the top. Archibald, one of the big favourites, but feeling her way back into form, not at her very best just yet. However, even Archibald's form, when it's not quite there, is still good enough to win this race on her day, so do not rule Archibald out. But Phoebe Taylor, just in front of Katie Archibald, up on the fence. She is the defending champion. She won the gold medal here and took the national title back in October. And off they go now. Formation lap before the pistol will be fired if they're all together.
Karis Blow is just having a slight issue there off the start, so she will try and get herself on before that gun does go. If she's too far off, they won't start the race and there will be another formation lap, but it depends. And they have stopped the race now because of that issue off the start line, so regathering the race, which has been decided by the commissaires there, so everyone just having to get back into formation, on the line again, on the fence again, ready to start that race again. So
it must be a technical issue affecting Karis Blowers, but she's had a torrid time, hasn't she, of competition, Karis Blowers. She's found it tough over recent days, so I don't quite know what the issue is there for Karis Blowers.
I think it looked like potentially she was pushed a little bit too close to one of the other holders and just got a little bit stuck maybe there on the wrong side of them. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
So the race stopped, and they will do one more lap and then line up in their formation positions again, and we'll try and get this race underway one more time.
Don't see that happen quite so often. It could have been a possibility that they just let her have an extra lap to get on the back of that bunch before they could start the race, but restarting it, having to line up again, and actually taking a little while for these riders to understand that they need to do that.
Yeah, it was just exactly that. It was just explained to them that they're not going to roll round and be released. They're going to start again from the formation, from the stationary position, so they're to line up one more time. And now they understand. The message has been imparted from the coaching staff down in the track centre and the UCI commissaires. And we go again. Karis Blowers has just made her way now into her starting position. Doesn't seem to be any mechanical issue whatsoever. But it's definitely her position that meant that we couldn't get the race underway. She was off the back instantly when they rolled off the line for reasons. Let's just leave it like that.
Yeah, and maybe the commissaire did actually think that there had been an issue. Her holder there just looks like he's kind of guiding her a little bit more, telling her to angle herself a bit further up the track. So I think it actually may have been that she was slightly hindered by who was a holder in front of her and getting a bit blocked out there. So, you know, these riders don't do this so often. It's only in the bigger championships that you do line up like this for these kind of races. So it does take a little bit of practice to be in the right position to get that right.
Okay, all present and correct.
And actually we have got the commissaire there just speaking to the holder in front, so I think that potentially may have been the issue.
All right, second time lucky. All away this time, Karis Blowers safely away. So the bunch together, and hopefully after this one formation lap, the pistol will fire and we will get the elimination race underway. Hannah Morris, winner of the points race already. Jess Roberts rearing up alongside her. Pistol fires and we're off now. So next time they come round, the bell will ring and we will have our first rider eliminated. And already there's a bit of jostling for position at the back. Madley Phillips of the Shibden Apex team, in fact both the riders from the Shibden Apex team with that black kit with the green trim are a little bit exposed to danger at the back, but one rider just losing contact a little bit at the back is Gabrielle McHugh. Should be alright though, she's got the upper side of the track if she can sprint to get out of trouble, and she does. And the rider who is dumped out of the competition straight away is Yewande Adesida. Oh, McHugh has been eliminated. Close, wasn't it?
It wasn't Gabby though, I'm pretty sure of that. So
well, they say otherwise, and Gabby McHugh is out.
So underway here. A lucky escape, I would say, for Yewande, a rider that we did see competing yesterday in the women's sprint races. So another rider who is converting over to the endurance race for this, but it looks like this time it may be an elimination for her.
Adesida gone. They're lucky to have survived that first round. I agree with you. I think it probably was her rather than McHugh, but either way, both those riders have now been eliminated. And on we go. The bell rings again.
Karis Blowers, the rider who had that issue at the start before it was restarted, just at the back there. She's on the wheel of her teammate, but you often have to look at this point of the riders at the bottom of the track that are going to get swamped as these riders come over the top. There is a bit of space, but she needs to really use it all and ride into that, but it is looking like...
Yeah, it is Blowers. Bit of a head-to-head there with her teammate, it has to be said. Kayla Dinnin, and Dinnin was the second to last, but Karis Blowers has now been eliminated. 3 riders gone. Little move off the front there, just to buy herself a little bit of space on the track from Madley Phillips. She goes a few bike lengths off the front. The bell has rung. We'll have an elimination next time around.
Millie Thompson, the rider at the bottom of the track. There are riders above her who are also running out of space. So at the moment she's sticking with that tactic at the bottom of the track, and that was number 6, Arabella Blackburn.
One of the Handsling Alba Development Road team members, of whom there are 4 in total, including one of the favourites potentially for the victory, Maddie Leach. Karis Lloyd was towards the back of the bunch, heading to that elimination. She's now moved herself right up towards the front to keep herself out of trouble in the company of Erin Boothman. And I think it's the other rider, the teammate of Karis Blowers, who's going to go this time. It is indeed, that's Kayla Dinnin. It's the next one to be eliminated. So Jess Roberts on the front. Driving it on, Erin Boothman. Hannah Morris keeping herself safe, so too is Katie Archibald, Maddie Leach, all the big players up in a cluster towards the front of the race. keeping themselves safe, avoiding any trouble, not dicing with the possibility of having to expend too much energy just to get themselves out of trouble and sprint to stay in the race, as the two riders at the back from the Apex team are having to do, and one of them has to go on this occasion. It's Mabley Phillips from the Shibden Apex team. Her teammate Elwyn Davis was second to last there as well. Bell goes again, and it's the sole rider for the UAE development team, Abigail Miller, who just has to spend a bit of energy to get a bit higher on the track.
More of a fight here from the Shibden Apex riders, but it looks like the bottom of the track, Neve Campbell-Williams. She's been down there for a little while getting shelter, but it looked like another really close one
that was close.
On the line.
Or even rider 72, Millie Thompson from Solar Cycling. It was Campbell-Williams. No decision?
No decision.
No decision, too close to call.
And she has backed off, but now there's no decision. And I had already crossed her out.
I'd already crossed that. Well, more confusing than that, I'd crossed out Mabley Phillips from Shibden Apex as well, and she's still riding. So we need a clear-cut decision this time, as the bell goes again. Erin Boothman's just chinned off the front, and a rider dropping away, and we thought she'd gone last time. She will go this time. It's Neve Campbell-Williams, whose legs have just let her down at that point, just letting go, and she, no doubt about that, will be eliminated this time around.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you think you've been eliminated, you back off and then you have to make that effort to get back on. So really unfortunate for her there. It did look a little bit more clear to me that she had been eliminated last time, but definitely out this time.
Erin Boothman still off the front, but Jess Phillips just riding across to her. Katie Archibald still keeping herself out of trouble. You can see high on the banking with those red, white and blue cuffs on her black skin suit. And one of the Shibden Apex riders once again towards the back. That is the defending champion, is it not, Phoebe Taylor?
Elwyn Davies, I think, maybe the rider
close
from Shibden, a little bit further down the track.
Elwyn Davies, yeah. So that just does leave, I think, just one of their team. There's a couple of those Shibden riders still in the bunch, actually. Bell goes. Who's going to be next? Ooh, rider.
Millie Thompson at the bottom of the track.
Yeah, a bit of resignation about that ride. And that is clear-cut. Millie Thompson, Solar Cycling, is eliminated. Still got a dozen riders on the track, working our way through this elimination. Karis Lloyd of Movistar, the back marker at the moment, needs to get a bit of height on the banking, needs to go round to the top of the track.
Anna Lloyd, another one of the Shibden riders at the bottom of the track. She's on the wheel off her teammate Phoebe Taylor, the reigning national champion. But these two, both juniors in that junior team. Jess Roberts also at the top of the track, maybe leaving herself a little bit too much to do and not enough rush room.
Yeah, that's it,
Jess
Roberts is out.
there.
That's a big name departure at this relatively early stage in the elimination race. Jess Roberts of Spectra Racing these days. So last year's defending champion Phoebe Taylor is still in this race, as is the rider who finished in the bronze medal position, Mary Porton, in the Hansling Alba Development Road Team colours. They've still got two irons in the fire, and they're well placed towards the top. Those pink shoulders and the light blue. Yeah, three riders potentially still there.
Oh, Anna Lloyd, I think, from Shibden Apex there, not having quite enough space to be able to get through. Very close there with Karis Lloyd, though, on the line.
So Phoebe Taylor, alongside Maddie Leach, lead them through, taking the bell. Oh, big crash!
That's Anna Morris that's gone down.
Morris is
there.
down. Just a touch of wheels. She's the only rider who went down. And in the meantime, Sophie Lewis has been eliminated, and Anna Morris, as you say, thankfully is back up, but obviously out of the race.
Yeah, I don't think they will take Sophie Lewis out there. Just getting squeezed, Anna Morris there by Katie Archibald and Phoebe Taylor, and getting knocked on the back of the head there by the pedal of Sophie Lewis. But
the yellow flag has come out, hasn't it?
Yeah, the flag and the whistle was blown before they got to the line, so they won't take an elimination there with Sophie Lewis. And Anna Morris back on her bike, looking like she's going to be thrown back into the race.
Good Lord. That was a hard crash, and she looks, with Rob Partridge there, guiding her through. It looks like she is preparing to get thrown back into this bunch. Yep. So Anna Morris, to the warm acclaim of this big crowd here on Sunday afternoon here in Manchester, is going to resume her elimination race and get back in. Still under the yellow flag now, so the race effectively still neutralised. They will wait until Anna Morris is safely in that bunch. And the yellow flag is now taken away, so we are racing again. The bell will ring next time they come around. As Karis Lloyd just sweeps down to the bottom alongside Erin Boothman. Katie Archibald is, as they restart the race, so it'll be the bell next time. Katie Archibald is right at the back.
Karis Lloyd, I did think she was starting to look tired coming into that bell before the elimination. She dropped down the track, which isn't something you often do. As they get the bell now,
Archibald just making sure that she's got a bit of height on that track, and oh, well, that was really close there. There's Kate Richardson, I think, was it? A little bit of a clash there. Or Sophie Lewis, indeed.
Abby Miller, the rider, just trying to come over the top. Evie Smith there on the line.
She did enough to make sure that Evie Smith had nowhere to go. So from O'Shea Red Chili Bikes, Evie Smith is eliminated. Bell goes again, and it's Abigail Miller once again who's at the back from the UAE development team. That was dicey with Katie Archibald there.
It was. We just had a replay there. You could see it was just a flick from other riders below them, and it just ricocheted up the track.
Yeah.
Everyone holding it up, luckily. As we're coming into the elimination, Phoebe Taylor.
Defending champion is gone. Phoebe Taylor from the Shibden Apex team as the last remaining representative of that team, and the national champion is eliminated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 riders left. Handling team have still got 3 riders to play with. Kate Richardson being the back marker of those 3 and the back marker of the bunch. Anna Morris now is at the bottom. Now, how injured is she? How bashed and bruised is she? What's she got in the legs to get herself out of trouble here? Anna Morris, it's going to be tight, but I don't think she gets there in time. Let's wait to see which name is announced. Is it Morris? Or is it Maddie Leach? Well, Kate Richardson, I should say. Kate Richardson. Tight decision that was as well.
It was a very tight decision. Waiting for that replay to make sure that they're making that right decision, of course. You can see Anna Morris now moving back towards the front. Mary Porton at the bottom of the track, but Sophie Lewis also back there, as well as Abby Miller. So let's just see with that sprint, Porter.
Yep. Mary Porton, bronze medalist from the 2025 edition of this race. There we go. And that's the danger of just being trapped at the bottom on the wheel of Karis Lloyd. There was nowhere for her to go. Katie Archibald restores a bit of order, moves to the front. They're all lined out on her wheel now.
Karis Lloyd here looking like she's struggling. That Abby Miller is potentially going to get herself caught at the bottom of the track if Lloyd comes over the top. Nowhere to go for Abby Miller.
Yeah, Abby Miller stuck on the bottom there, couldn't get away. Just 6 riders left now. Maddie Leach, Erin Boothman, Abby Morris, Karis Lloyd.
Karis Lloyd there, she's not got the legs. Bell's gone and she's
dropped away.
She's sat up.
So we know who's going to be eliminated next time around.
And this is where it's really important to know what's going on, making sure you're not pushing too hard, knowing there is a rider behind you. Sophie Lewis is looking around. She's pretty sure there's a rider there. She's not 100% sure.
Yeah, that did double check.
That Lloyd was there and couldn't see her anywhere around her.
She'll be pleased to hear that announcement made. And that leaves just 5 riders. The bell lap. Archibald, so hard to reach. She looks a bit laboured there, but she's got so much power under that hood to come round past her Madison partner, Maddie Leach, a rider who she knows so well, past Sophie Lewis. She's putting Leach into a spot of difficulty here. She takes the inside line. It's going to be a battle between those 2 riders. Oh, that's tight as well. Few riders involved there. Sophie Lewis perhaps in that photo finish as well.
Yeah, Maddie Leach did go underneath. I don't know if she did go off the track, but we need to see. It looks like no decision there. Green flag.
Go again. Maddie Leach
but Maddie Leach doesn't have anything more to give anyway, so looks like she will be out next.
I've got a feeling she was out anyway. It was a very, very marginal call, but this time around she will be eliminated. Sophie Lewis as well, looking like she might be about to suffer from a double leg puncture. She looks like she's struggling just to get back onto the wheel of Anna Morris. And we might, after that, have the 3 medals decided. Lewis having to get out of the saddle and sprint, drop down onto the racing line. As they take the bell, 4 riders together. Anna Morris, remarkably, in pole position. Now, can Lewis live with this pace as it goes up now? She drops to the back of this group, and a bike length opens up, the head drops, her shoulders slump, that's it. She will be eliminated. And then we have a final selection of the medal positions now. Anna Morris, Katie Archibald and the 19-year-old Erin Boothman. This is going to be an interesting match.
It is going to be a very interesting match. Who's got the legs left? It's been a really tough elimination.
Katie Archibald and Anna Morris nearly came to blows there. Morris already having been down once in this race. Archibald looks round to see if Erin Boothman is going to come round, a wheel to use potentially for her. Archibald in a little bit of difficulty here. Morris leading the way. Archibald looking for space on the inside, isn't going to find it. Archibald out. So, Archibald will take the bronze medal home. Now, Boothman and Morris for the gold. 2 laps to go. Match sprint situation between these 2. Morris, what a ride she's having. Having been down, got back in, and now fighting for the gold medal. A 2nd gold medal, a 3rd medal of the Games if she can get it as well. Boothman right up alongside her. They take the bell. This is the final lap. This is the gold medal sprint. Boothman opening up early, trying to use that height to take the racing line. Morris getting into a slipstream. Boothman opening up the lead and seeing it all the way home. And Erin Boothman takes a brilliant win and the title ahead of Anna Morris. What a brilliant ride, a 2nd silver medal for Morris and a 1st gold for Erin Boothman, who can't quite believe it.
Yeah, an amazing ride from Erin Boothman. Really intelligent riding there. She's a 1st-year senior rider. She was still a junior last year. Very impressive. But she does already have a national senior title with Anna Morris, winning that Madison back in December. But she's got a bright future ahead of her on the track and on the road.
How much did you enjoy that, Alice? I enjoyed that a lot.
I enjoyed that a lot.
There was a lot going on.
An elimination.
A little bit of a crash when the rider comes away unscathed. You'll take that as well. That adds to the drama.
Yeah,
but it's great that Anna Morris was obviously unaffected by that crash. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely. And she'll have adrenaline from that crash as well. That often does carry you around for a little bit. And when that does start to fade, it can really be detrimental. But Anna Morris so strong that she can continue to ride through that. And it just shows how determined she is as well.
Well, it's her last event of the championships as well, so she could invest everything in those final few laps and take home that silver medal. But Erin Boothman just shows you, doesn't it? I'm sure this is a young rider who's going to go on to win many international titles as well, but a British national title, she's quite overwhelmed by it, actually. Yeah,
really impressive riding. You can see how much that means to her and how much pressure she puts on herself as well, but that's lovely to see. Lloyd, obviously riders have grown up together as well racing.
Lloyd, yeah, sharing in her joy. Now she's put away some big names there as well, hasn't she, when you think of the quality of the field she's beaten. She's been threatening all championships to do something very special and to take home one of the big medals, and she's got the shiniest of them all.
Yeah, and picking up the bronze medal in the individual pursuit, also one of the rides of the week from her, like we say, very close to that time, challenging for the medals, and still such a young rider, so much to build on for her.
Right, we've got match-up number 2 then between Emma Finucane and Rhian Edmonds. Now then, will Rhian Edmonds already be thinking about conserving energy for the seemingly inevitable bronze medal match that she's going to be consigned to? Or is she going to try it again to unseat the almighty Emma Finucane?
Very slow pacer at the start. Edmonds, the rider that has to lead this off, unless she's challenged for that front position. She has to lead it at least walking pace until we get to half a lap in, and then they can start playing more games. She can try and get Emma Finucane to take the front, but at the moment just having to get to this line that they've just crossed now. We've seen some track stands already from Edmonds in the previous rounds when she was racing Lauren Bell. You can just see slowly starting to build speed now.
Finucane inscrutable, motionless, just following the wheel of Edmonds at a precise distance, marking her every move. Now, is Edmonds going to take her up to the bank for a stand? Finucane just urges her down. It's like flicking her with that wheel, just indicating which direction she should move in, like a sheepdog. Even though she's at the back, Finucane's kind of dictating terms here, isn't she?
Yeah, the rider at the back can often do that. They've got so much more that they can work with, using the height of the track as Edmonds matches her and goes up as well, not wanting to give Finucane too much height and too much speed, but we can just see she's just going to drop down and start to really ride that gap out.
Game over. And I think Rhian Edmonds is right. She's probably only riding this in at 60-70% now. Nothing she can do about Finucane, who progresses to the gold medal match. And Rhian Edmonds will be racing for bronze, but against whom? We don't know. We're about to find out. And for Finucane, that was perfect as well, because as much as she's an absolute favourite to take this gold medal all the way, she too wants to conserve as much energy for that final, doesn't she?
Yeah, definitely. And Rhian Edmonds, of course, did have an extra ride in the quarterfinals when she was racing Lauren Bell. Edmonds won the first ride in that, but Lauren Bell was able to equalise it, so they did have to go to a third ride.
So it's the second race between the second semi-finalists now. Moya against Paris Smith.
Paris Smith this time has the height on the track, has that back position.
And has to win. Otherwise, she too will be racing Rhian Edmonds for the bronze medal.
It was a much, much closer ride between these two riders in that first. But of course, like you say, Moya taking that win. It is the best of three.
If Moya were to win this contest, regardless of what happens after that, it's a guaranteed silver medal at least. So a lot at stake for Moya here, who beat Katie Marchant in the quarterfinals. A little bit less cagey than the previous encounter, this one.
Paris Smith would have gone away, had a think about how she can find that extra advantage, spoken to the coaches, worked out a tactic, as we can see, and continuing to get some height. She's going to launch her sprint and use all that power to try and close that gap and get over the top, and she has got extra speed, but can she get around the outside of the banking?
She's used a lot, hasn't she, already, to get to that position. Has she got anything left for the lunch for the line? No. Paris Smith will be racing for bronze against Rhian Edmonds, and Moya takes her place in the final from the matchup against Emma Finucane. And that concludes the semi-finals in the women's sprint competition already. No need for a third match in either of the semi-finals. That was class. I think Moya's tactic there was to take a bit of the sting out of Paris Smith's sprint at the line, wasn't it? And to go long, make her work for a little bit longer in the sprint than she might have wanted to. Hung in the balance just briefly down the back straight, but problem was for Paris Smith, she'd had to sprint so hard just to close that gap that she had not enough left on the home straight to make the difference.
Yeah, exactly. We can see what it has taken out of her. But like you said before, a guaranteed medal. She will be going against Finucane for the gold and the jersey, of course, which is going to be a tough thing to do, but she will do everything she can with the last races of the weekend for them.
Won't be too much longer before we see the women's finals get underway as well. We just got one race before we do see them back on the boards and in action, and it's the men's points race final. But before that, I think the riders and everybody concerned, and even the spectators here, are due a little bit of a break, maybe to go and get a refreshment. Why don't you just go and get yourself a cup of tea as well and come back, and be a couple of minutes before the next race gets underway, which, just to mark your card, is a 30-kilometre race. It's the men's points race final. Okay, let's just have a look at the lineup of the men's points race final. Leon Atkins, Matt Bostock, already with a couple of medals to his name, gold medals. Rhys Britton, James Canham, Denham Edwards, Sam Fisher of Wales, William Gilbank, Michael Gill, Rory Gravel and Frank Longstaff. Ben Marsh, Ryan Oldfield, Will Perrott, who is something of a specialist in this race. He's won it 3 times and he's got a bronze medal to boot. Will Roberts, who's looked very good over this weekend of racing. Elliot Rowe, who is there on merit, but very nearly got eliminated in the qualifier. Will Salter, Tim Shawman, Charlie Tanfield, who could be dangerous. Dan Thompson, who's had a very good weekend, and Will Tidball. Toby Toombs, Matt Walls, Ben Wiggins, and a certain Oliver Wood. Okay, this is the longest race of the weekend so far. It's the men's points race, 30 kilometres in length. That equates to a total of 120 laps. There'll be sprints every 10 laps in the points competition, which means that there are 12 sprints in total, including the final sprints, which counts double. 20 points will be taken for every time a rider takes a lap on the bunch. And given this race distance, Alice, we could actually see multiple laps being taken here by some of the favourites.
Yeah, definitely. Riders looking for the opportunity to attack, maybe in a lull in the pace, maybe when everyone else is suffering. Looking to try and gain those 20 points to add to their tally. Just see them making their way onto the track now. All just wondering whereabouts they're meant to be lining up, something they probably should look at before they enter and go to the track, but still looking on their way there.
You are critical, aren't you? Mind you, it's an economy of effort, isn't it? Every little bit of effort counts. And this man had a very interesting route to qualification. In the qualifying heat, he had 0 points heading towards the final sprint. And he was towards the back of the bunch as well. And needed to move right up and pick up as many points as he could. He finished second in the final sprint, and that was the reason that he is qualified at all for the finals.
Yeah, Bostock was the rider that did go for that last sprint. It looked like it was a little bit of a lead out, maybe something that was discussed, but...
Well, you do, let's be honest, in whether it's road or track, you do get friendships, allegiances, you do get little bits of understanding that do go on within the race, and occasionally you have a friendly wheel.
You do. Bostock had qualified himself, so he didn't need to do it. Maybe wasting a little bit of energy along the way, but nevertheless he did pick up that 10 points, but it did help Elliott Rowe with the 6 points as well to go through.
Best example of that in recent history on the road that I can think of, Alice, was the last stage victory at the Giro d'Italia in Rome.
Geraint Thomas leading up.
Mark Cavendish, when Geraint Thomas, who only the day before had conceded the entire Maglia Rosa, had lost the Giro d'Italia to Primož Roglic, regrouped, got over his disappointment and did the most monstrous lead-outs for his former teammate Mark Cavendish that made the difference actually for Cavendish to get that last gasp win at the Giro.
Exactly. Remember it well myself.
There is Matt Bostock. What a championships he's having, Alice.
He is. And actually, I didn't realise that the scratch race was his first ever track championship win.
He's taken wins on the road, hasn't he? In the crits.
Yeah,
the crit championships. He's got 2 to his name. Ben Wiggins, the other side of that divide, up on the fence. Elliott Rowe getting a lot of camera time here. A very strong rider, got a lot of endurance. Whether he's got the kick to pick up enough points at the sprints, that is the question here in this points race. He might, if he does want to win it, have to go about it slightly differently as the riders are called down onto the track and into the formation lap. 120 laps, long race, 30 kilometres. And off we go. So, just to reiterate then, sprints every 10 laps, so there are 12 of them, 20 points for a lap taken.
Riders will come into this race with a tactic. Some wanting to focus more on the sprints, thinking that they can mop up enough points that way. Others really focusing and thinking about where they're going to attack and saving their energy in those sprints to attack and gain those 20 points. Of course, those lap gains take a lot out of you, but that 20 points is a big reward for that. And timing is really important as well. Doing it at the right point, getting the gap quickly and getting the lap quickly is really important.
As ever in the opening laps of a long points race like this, the first 5 or 6 laps tend to be almost formation laps of their own, as riders just test the legs. Raced off at a very moderate speed with this long race distance, and nobody's willing to launch an attack just yet. Closer we get though to the first sprint, the more likely it is that the race might get a bit active towards the front as riders reach out for those first 5, 3, 2 and 1 points. 6 laps to go until the first sprint.
We've seen this in most of the points races so far, whether it be the qualifiers or the women's races. We've seen these first 10 or so laps be fairly calm, everyone just getting back on the track, back in the bunch, finding their position, finding the riders they may be wanting to follow.
Charlie Tanfield on the front, just peeling off and running up the track. Dan Thompson as well, he's looked very strong today, earlier on.
See moves starting to drift away, riders just going to the bottom of the track, and now we can start to see the first attack. Leon Atkins with 3 laps to go until the first sprint. Will Roberts also going with him, so 3 riders joined by Ben Marsh, and they have got a pretty nice gap pretty quickly here.
Dan Thompson in the front of a little chase group of 4 or 5 who are trying to get across, but those 3, yeah, they've sprung a little surprise there, and they've got a potentially points-taking gap here. I'm not sure they'll be caught. 2 laps to go, and they should be sharing the major points at the first sprint, and then they might just persist to try and take a lap after that. None of the real favourites, you would have said, for the overall title here. Toby Toms. Will Roberts, though, is a dangerous rider with that white helmet and the black kit. And who is going to take the maximum 5 points? It is indeed Roberts. He takes them ahead of Leon Atkins. So 5 points to Will Roberts. And they've got about a third of a lap of an advantage. And they're carrying on, these 3, to see if they can gain a lap now.
Will Salter taking that 1 point on the line as well, so we can see they have got almost half a lap. The bunch riding pretty well together, swapping off turns.
As ever here, it's not dissimilar to road racing and a breakaway in road racing, is it? It's not really up to the riders off the front whether or not they get a lap. It all depends on the behaviour of the bunch, whether they're going to ride to keep them off the back and not allow them to take a lap. And if so, who's going to take the responsibility of doing that? Or will they allow these 3 riders to get across? The 3 riders can only do, if you like, Alice, what they can do.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously working well together, swapping off, doing their half-lap turns, trying to get there as efficiently as possible, but as quickly as possible as well. 6 laps to go to the next sprint. Often we do see riders hang back a bit, but I think these 3 would be very happy if they could take those points that they've already got and then get that lap as quickly as possible and settle in and start to recover.
Well, the reward of 20 points is worth 4 sprints, isn't it? So the prize is enormous, so get it done if you can. Dan Thompson keeping the pace high and looking round. I think there is some degree of concern there from the bunch. They perhaps don't want to allow these 3 riders, especially Will Roberts, who's I think the biggest name of these 3 riders, to take that lap. But Roberts is nearly there. He's driving them on. As the pace goes up a little bit at the front of the bunch, I think they realise that the catch is going to be made and that the front of the bunch is where the points are going to be allocated the next time round, if that makes sense. They're still not there, though. The pace has just increased a little bit as a couple of attacks go off the fronts, including Will Salter and Ben Wiggins now involved. Still not quite there. Are they just going to hang back? Feeling is they might just hang back. There's a bit of uncertainty. They haven't made that junction just yet, and they are just easing up, are they?
They are easing up. Very risky thing to do here. We can see there's a lot of riders at the front of this bunch that are really wanting to push on here. And if this pace goes really high at the bunch, then that gap can really string out. But it looks like they're going to just accelerate now and get on, and they will get the points even if they're reabsorbed in the peloton before they get to the line the next lap.
Which they are. The catch has been made before they get to the line, and that's the bell lap anyway. So the 20 points are there for Atkins and for Will Roberts and for Ben Marsh. Those three riders now 20 points up and take the lead. Will Roberts is now in the lead of the points competition. Sprint 2 goes to Ben Marsh from Will Roberts and Leon Atkins. There we go. So there's Will Perrett, the man who has won this championship for the last 3 years. Will Roberts leads now the standings on 28 points, having taken a lap.
Will Perrett now looking to try and get off the front. Sam Fisher following him, a very dangerous rider in this kind of race. Like you said, he's won it 3 times previously and got plenty of laps in those races as well.
Hollywood are one among the riders just working on the front of the bunch with Charlie Tanfield to try and control Perrett and Marsh. Perrett and Fisher, I should say, from the Wales Cycling Academy. They've just got a little bit of a gap. Ben Wiggins with another rider just going after them. Dan Thompson shutting the gap down, and I don't think they're going to be allowed to get away. 94 laps remain, so 4 laps until the third of the sprints. And Will Roberts, having taken that early lap in particular, finds himself in a commanding position in the early phase of the points competition.
And Ben Marsh also following him to the front of the bunch. So Will Roberts back at the front, just trying to make sure that he's recovering but not missing any moves that may be about to go away, as we see Perrett trying again. Dan Thompson was following him.
So Ollie Wood now looking round at the front of the bunch to see what's happening behind, always aware of who's doing what. Will Tidball on his wheel.
One lap to go to the sprint now, so dropping in for that bell, looking for this next sprint. Ollie Wood followed by Tidball, by Rhys Britton. Matt Walls on his wheel.
Matt Walls and Dan Thompson, Will Salter, all still in the mix. But first batch of 5 points go to Ollie Woods, who picks that up. Goes 5 points ahead of Will Tidball and Rhys Britton. So, Ollie Wood on the scoreboard. Will Roberts still sitting tight in that black kit of his, in the lead of this points competition, with 28 points. Three riders having taken a lap. Now then, the next attempt to get up the road is launched. Will Perrett involved once more. Matt Bostock, Charlie Tanfield, Ben Wiggins, Will Salter. Really stretching things out, and little micro gaps appearing in the bunch as it's put under stress by a series of different riders. Ben Wiggins dropping down onto the wheel of the latest attacker, Toby Toombs. Wiggins now going clear, with Will Salter trying to ride across to the man from Hagen's Berman, Jaco, who's committing to this. Looks round Wiggins and then gets into that position on a bike and decides to try and go solo. Matt Bostock going after Wiggins. Big acceleration, using a bit of height on the track there to gain a bit of speed, punch clear and get across onto the wheel of Ben Wiggins. Charlie Tanfield on the front of the bunch, but Bostock has got across that big gap very quickly, and he's almost there across to Ben Wiggins. And when these two riders get together, they'll be hard to catch.
It will be hard to catch. We saw Matt Bostock take a lap in the scratch race, closing that gap quite easily to Ben Wiggins, and they are together now. Wiggins just needing to try and get on that wheel before Bostock swings up again, and it's his turn, so he needs to try and get as much recovery as possible there. Yeah,
Matt Bostock just looking around and checking and looking after Ben Wiggins to make sure he's not going too hard. This is the front of the bunch you're looking at, a little bit disjointed as Charlie Tanfield then launches over the top of Will Salter, and he goes off in solo pursuit, followed by Ollie Wood as well. Wood trying to get onto the wheel of Tanfield to make it 2 pairs of 2 off the front of the bunch. And there's a reaction from Will Perrett and Will Tidball. But Tanfield and Wood soloing to try and get across.
Yeah, needing to try and get together to close that gap together. But we can see plenty of riders now, and also Ben Marsh there on the back of Perrett and Tidball.
Good spot.
Just using them
just smuggled himself into that third group, hasn't he?
Yeah, with that lap already, with plenty of points, as Bostock just rolled Ben Wiggins for those points. They will sit up a bit, so potentially with Tanfield and Ollie then getting on here and working together again to see if they can get that lap.
Yeah, that group of four, quite rightly, as you say, including Ollie Wood, who just latches onto the wheel of Ben Wiggins now. They'll come together. Matt Bostock is looking awfully strong, though, it has to be said, at the front of the race. But that is a very elite quartet of riders now. You're right, Ben Marsh in the second group there, just in that multicoloured kit for the University of Derby. He's the real danger, and they shouldn't underestimate him now. He's already taken a lap, and he's in this group, the second group on the road of three now. And if he gets another lap, then alarm bells should ring throughout the entire bunch.
100%. He's looking like he's struggling slightly, taking shorter turns, being gapped slightly. Of course, Tibble and Perrott wanting to get across to these four riders that are in front, but we've had another two join the chasing three. Yep. So a real interesting situation now. The biggest bunch on the track is still where these riders have come from, where they're trying to get those 20 points and to add that to their tally. But Ben Marsh also in that group, making it very dangerous.
They're roaring along the track, and they are closing in on the back of a pretty disjointed bunch as three more riders go off the front of the bunch. But it's a very, very strong quartet of riders. Matt Bostock, Charlie Tanfield, Ben Wiggins and Ollie Wood. And then a group of 5 riders behind them. Not quite there yet, as you can see from those pictures. That is the front of the race that you're looking at. 74 laps gone, sprinting 4 laps time.
From 4 groups at the moment, because there's been another split in the bunch. It does look like that will come back together.
It does.
You only get those 20 points if you lap the biggest bunch on the track, so when it does split up it can become very complicated. The comment says just happen to keep an eye on that, but that bunch has come back together now.
But you're looking at the front of the race there. That's Charlie Tanfield in the black kit there with the red helmet. 2 laps to go. They might still be off the back and they might be sprinting for points. I think they will be. I'm not sure they're going to shut that gap down in the next 2 laps. And that second group on the road behind them are not really making much progress across to the main bunch. Ben Wiggins, is he just holding back? They take the belt. I think they're going to catch the bunch before and secure those 20 points. Holding back. No, Ollie Wood opts to just take those 20 points, and they all follow suit with Matt Bostock, Charlie Tanfield and Ben Wiggins. So those riders have all taken 20 points as well.
Yeah, and Bostock taking that sprint from Bostock, close there between Tanfield and Wiggins for that sprint of points, and now they need to really ride straight through, catch these riders in front, but try and stop the 5 riders that include Ben Marsh gaining a lap to try and get themselves back level with him.
So that group with Ben Marsh is stuck the far side of the track and not making progress. But we've got a lot of riders on 20 points now. 7 riders in total have taken a lap. So the plot thickens. It's anybody's race still, at least from those selection of 7 at the moment, very much in the box seat. Matt Bostock has moved into the lead by 1 point ahead of Ollie Wood. He's on 29. Matt Bostock is on 30. Will Roberts is on 28. 67 laps to go. We're approaching the halfway point in this points race.
We are, but at the moment the main danger is Ben Marsh, who is in the second group. 5 riders still looking to get the next lap, which looks like it's starting to close down now, and not too much cohesion in the bunch. And the problem is they're going to be 20 points now further behind Ben Marsh. They're really needing to try and do something. Charlie Tanfield just sneaking away again, another move off the front of the bunch. Will
Salter has gone off the front of the bunch. Charlie Tanfield trying to get in a move that might yield another lap, as the bunch just fractures a little bit, and the Marsh group isn't too far from getting across to the bunch, with Denham Edwards and Rory Gravel as well as part of that group. Here he is, Ben Marsh. He is the real danger in the orange sleeves. He's the man who is on the brink of taking a second lap and moving to 40 plus points to leapfrog himself over Matt Bostock and Ollie Wood and into the lead. And he's nearly there as well on the wheel of Denham Edwards. That's Denham Edwards in the blue kit, Ben Marsh on his wheel. You can see the gap that they've got to close. 3 laps to go until the next sprint, and they're nearly there. And that is Ben Marsh taking another 20 points, and he now leads the points competition.
Still have Will Perrett, Rory Gravel and Will Tidball looking to gain that lap, but they're going to be the riders that are going to hold back, looking for the sprint. They're going to get the bell this time, and then there'll only be 1 point left available, and it is Elliott Rowe and Will Roberts at the moment that will snap up that 1 point between them when they fight it out. But we can see now they've had that sprint, now they've had that bell, they're going to try and get back on, fight those sprint points out and get back into the peloton and get those 20 points as well.
So it was Will Tidball who took the 5 points at that sprint. Those 3 riders in a very similar looking kits, and now they will all take 20 points as well. Will Perrett, again, let's remind ourselves, he's won this title for the last 3 years running, and he's about to really open his account. I think he took 2nd place at that sprint. As the bunch is, Sam Fisher just drops back quite dramatically, actually, the Welsh rider. Don't know what's ailing him. It looks like his legs have gone. All of a sudden he's rocking and rolling, the rider in the red dropping away as those 3 riders now take their 20 points and take a lap. So Ben Marsh is on 47 points as things stand, Matt Bostock on 30, Ollie Wood on 29. Those are the medal positions as things stand.
Some interesting riding at the back from Tidball and Perrett, just marking each other, not getting straight back into the bunch there. I don't know if they were thinking about hanging out for another sprint, but now we can see Perrett just getting back in, Tidball marking Perrett there quite closely.
Sam Fisher's, I think, going to be abandoning fairly soon, and I'm not sure he's going to finish. We've now got 11 riders who've taken a lap, all the way down to Denham Edwards on 21 points, but the leader, Ben Marsh, the University of Derby, a real outsider in this kind of field as Perrett goes off on the offensive again. So a big attack from Will Perrett, Ben Wiggins and Ollie Wood following, and Ben Marsh is at it again.
He is at it again. So impressive from him, clearly coming in here with really strong legs, but being fueled off how he's riding, and he's actually kind of still looking like he's can ride like an underdog, can miss those changes. Of course, these other riders really still fighting for the points and for that podium position, but he's a bit of an underdog at the moment.
Well, it's an exceptional performance from Ben Marsh. He's smuggled himself into this elite move once again, and he's a nightmare for these other riders, because for as long as he's there, he's the gold medalist. Will Salter is part of this move as well in the Alpecin de Koning development team colours. Ben Wiggins, as well as Will Perrett and Ollie Wood. Another rider coming across, Will Tidball. They'll take the bell, and the sprint will be decided among those 5-6 riders at the front. Ben Wiggins making a big move around the outside to try and take 5 points. Ollie Wood, if he scores some points here, could go above Matt Bostock and into the silver medal position, but it's going to be Wiggins from Perrett, from Marsh, who picks up further points, and Ollie Wood will pick up 1 point in 4th place there.
You're looking to see if these riders do continue with this move. Tidball has also got across to that, having to go across solo, but not much cohesion here with this group at the front of the race, as Matt Bostock and Will Roberts look to go across. Charlie Tanfield, the other rider who already has a lap and has missed out on that move, so having to do this as well and try and get across, and looking like they're going to shut that down with these riders at the front not riding too hard.
Bostock and Roberts join in the fun. That makes it 7 riders at the front, including Ben Marsh, who's just extended his lead in the points competition. With 48 riders, 48 laps, I should say, 47 now remaining. So Ben Marsh on 49 points now. He's got a 19-point lead over the rider in 2nd place, who I think is Ollie Wood. There is Ollie Wood with Marsh then, those 2 riders. As things stand, actually Bostock and Wood are on the same points. They're on 30 points apiece, and Will Roberts is on 29. So they bunch now in 2 distinct sections. And this group is with Charlie Tanfield, who's got himself in the move as well at the front of the race. Not riding with a great deal of commitment to take the lap, but they're hanging out off the front, I think, to contest these sprint points.
Yeah, and with so many riders in there and all the main favourites that already have those laps, there's not too much to ride for and to continue to push on for. So just all riding together, not worrying too much about the other riders who are behind.
Ollie Wood has got himself a shadow at the moment. It seems to me that Ben Marsh has just picked the wheel of Ollie Wood and is locked onto it, identifying him as the most immediate threat. But Matt Bostock, don't forget, has got himself into the front of the race, as Wiggins and Tidball go off the front. And we are 2 laps from the next sprint, which will be at 40 laps to go. That's the front of the race. Wiggins and Tidball, both of whom have taken 1 lap. Will Perrett closing the gap to them. Matt Bostock and Ollie Wood trying to get across to join in the sprint for points. The bell has gone. This is a sprint lap.
Bostock over the top of that sprint, followed by Ollie Wood. Bostock looking to take those 5 points from Ben Wiggins there.
And perhaps significantly, Ben Marsh was out of the points there, but Matt Bostock added 5 to his tally and he moves clear into 2nd place.
Yeah, Ben Marsh not really having to worry too much about picking up some of these intermediates. Of course, he's gained an extra lap than the other riders, so has 20 points to play with. And of course, with those lap gains that he has done, potentially feeling it in the legs, so saving the energy during the sprints to be able to continue to follow these riders.
He's got a huge advantage with those 2 lap gains, though, Alice, of defending now, hasn't he? He's just got to mark the wheels. He doesn't have to initiate anything.
He doesn't. We've got Tidball again, followed by Tanfield, Will Roberts there, Bostock, all these riders, of course, big points on the board already.
Now, if anyone wants the gold medal, what can they do about Ben Marsh? How can they shake him? There are the standings. You can see on your screen 39 points, 49 points, I should say, for Ben Marsh. He's still got a 14-point buffer over Matt Bostock, who's moved up into 2nd place.
And Perrett's trying now. Wiggins following, Ollie following that, Bostock there as well. Tidball and Ben Marsh is starting
dangerous.
To feel it in the
This
legs.
is a little bit dangerous, Ben Marsh, and they're all sitting on his wheel. They won't help him at this point. Tanfield and Roberts. Ben Marsh sees a little gap grow in front of him with some very dangerous riders. Will Perrett, Matt Bostock, Will Tidball, Ollie Wood and Ben Wiggins. If they work together, and Marsh continues to be pinned, but he's done a really good job riding on the front of that group. They need to hit him harder if they're going to prize that position away from him and get away and break him.
They do, and they need to do it before they run out of laps. 34 laps to go. Ben Marsh really starting to struggle. How many times can he close a gap like that down? And how much have the other riders got in the legs? They need to see what's going on behind with Ben Marsh, see the pain that he is in, and see if they can get that gap. But they're going to do it, have to do it quickly, like I said.
Well, Matt Bostock was looking around to see if he could catch a glimpse of that orange jersey. That's the man they're all concerned about, Ben Marsh. What kind of condition is he in? He's responded borderline heroically to everything so far that's been thrown at him, but how many more times can he absorb a punch? There's little organisation in that group, though. Too many big favourites here, vying perhaps already for the silver and bronze medal, giving up on the prospect of gold. They're being a bit too cagey. Added to the fact they're probably quite tired, Alice.
Yeah, and one more sprint here coming right up. Ben Marsh is actually there, looking to take some points. Charlie Tanfield leading this out, Ben Marsh on his wheel.
That's an incredibly resilient performance from Ben Marsh, and a brilliant bit of riding, and he's going to pick up 3 points here. Maybe even 5 if he can get past Charlie Tanfield. Tanfield, Marsh, and Wood and Tidball scoring the points at that particular moment. Bostock out of the points, though. So if it is a battle between Wood and Bostock for the silver medal, which is looking increasingly like it, that was a little bit of a morale boost for Ollie Wood, who will have closed the gap to Matt Bostock at the top of the standings.
It will. Charlie and Ollie, they need to decide what they're going to do now. They're going to continue riding with Marsh there in the wheels. Can they put the pressure on and try and ride him off the wheel? But it looks like he's tucking in again. He's doing the short turns. He can do that. He doesn't need to get more points. He doesn't need to get another lap. He just needs to mark these riders and continue to close these gaps.
And he's doing a very good job of it. There are the standings on your screen. Ben Marsh 52, Matt Bostock 35, Ollie Wood 35, Ben Wiggins 31, Will Tidball 30. A lot could change in the silver medal position But if he carries on riding as strongly as this, Ben Marsh is going to pick up the gold medal. There are just 3 more sprints to go.
And Bostock can see that this is starting to split again. Is he going to push on? But Will Roberts just tying that back together now. We do have Elliott Rowe in here now and a couple of other riders who have lost a lap. They will be given -20. These riders won't be given +20 anymore because they are the biggest bunch on the track.
So Bostock missed out on the points last time around. Very vigilant with Tidball and Wood towards the front. Roberts, that's the battle for silver. Does it feel like they've conceded gold? I think they probably have, haven't they, at this point, Ellis?
There's still time to get a lap, and it just depends at what move they can do it, and they need to commit to it. It doesn't look like there's either enough energy there and enough commitment to that lap. Maybe not seeing the Ben Marsh is starting to struggle.
Yeah. 17 points separates first from second as well, and there are 20 points available in the sprints. That's without taking a lap. So Marsh also has to make sure that he continues to score, even if it's the minor placings at these sprints.
Yeah, he really does. Will Perrett now on the front of that group, followed by Ben Wiggins. Ben Marsh just swinging up, not wanting to go through, just marking Perrett there. So starting to see some more splits to some riders behind. Will Roberts, Charlie Tanfield being caught out there, Elliott Rowe just looking to sew it back together. But we have 7 riders there.
That's
just
the front.
with a bit of a gap.
Yeah, if you're getting confused now, that is the front of the race you're looking at there. There's Will Perrett bringing Ben Marsh, Will Tidball, Matt Bostock around, taking the bell, Will Salter, Ollie Wood and Ben Wiggins. Elliott Rowe just getting back on with Charlie Tanfield. And Ben Marsh is doing nothing short of a heroic ride here. He's going to pick up a maximum... Wow, very close, so I have to wait and see there. It was close between Bostock and Marsh, but Marsh picked up more points there. And I think that's it. I think he needs to finish this, and he's basically secured the gold medal with that sprint there. Any shred of danger, I think, has evaporated there.
Yeah, another move for Will Perrett, still trying. Bostock seeing that, but Ben Marsh right on that move. The riders that were going for those points previously. Charlie Tanfield also seeing that move and the danger, shutting that down. But Ben Marsh on it immediately, is absolutely flying.
There was just that brief moment, wasn't there, about 20 laps ago or thereabouts, when it looked like Ben Marsh was in a degree of difficulty, but his powers of recovery have been insane. He is there absolutely on merit. He's bossed this points competition. Yeah, he smuggled himself, didn't he? Perhaps a little bit underestimated into that move that gained him that second lap. But from there on in, he's been the man that they have been trying to shake off. And look at his lead now. 19 points with 2 sprints remaining.
Yeah, he made himself into the first move. That was the move that he got into almost without anyone noticing him, without anyone kind of marking him. It was the next moves and the next laps that he gained where he was really following the right wheels, making sure that he wasn't having to do too much, being able to follow and even picking up the sprint points. That's what's been really impressive for me, being able to recover and go with them again. But he has been distanced now, Ben Marsh, from Ben Wiggins, from Will Perrett, from Charlie Tanfield. So he's having to close this gap down himself.
Is this going to be a last bit of drama here? Ben Marsh all on his own on the track now, the young man. Just 20 years of age, on the brink of the biggest achievement of his career, and he's got some big riders throwing the kitchen sink at him at the moment. Charlie Tanfield, Ben Wiggins, they have gone off the front, and it's Tanfield now, the individual pursuit champion from these games. Charlie Tanfield is on 29 points. If he takes a lap here, he'll move to 49 points. He'll pick up 5 points if he stays off the front as well, which will gain him another 5 points, and he'll be very, very close. So Tanfield takes the bell. Brilliant ride from Charlie Tanfield. So all of a sudden the gold medal is hanging in the balance here again by a superb attack from Charlie Tanfield. He's about to pick up 5 further points, which will move him to 34 points.
And Ben Marsh has really dropped back now. He's really suddenly lost the legs. Maybe it was the previous sprints that he's been doing. He hasn't got the legs. Charlie Tanfield coming down around really fast. Ben Wiggins, Will Perrett also in that move. And then we've got a few other riders also chasing, trying to get back on terms with this.
This only works for Charlie Tanfield if he can get across to the rear wheel of Elliott Rowe. That's the bunch. And if he gets there, he'll pick up a further 20 points. And even that isn't enough for the gold medal, because he'll have to pick up points on the final sprint as well. But Tanfield is about to make the junction. There he comes. With 8 laps to go, he moves to within 3 points of Ben Marsh. Tanfield, with an absolutely superb ride there, has maybe a couple of laps to recover, and then he's going to have to finish in the top 3 positions in the final sprint.
Yeah, Ben Marsh obviously collecting enough points still to be in the lead with that lap from Charlie Tanfield. Charlie obviously with no sprints left can't pick up any points while he's trying to take that lap. So we've now got Will Perrett and Ben Wiggins who are still trying to look for another lap.
Well, by my calculations, just 3 points separate first from second now. And Ben Marsh on 57 points hasn't been able to add to his tally. Charlie Tanfield is on 54. We've got 1 sprint left, and it's at the finish line in 4 laps' time.
And there's riders still up the road that will mop up those points at the moment.
They'll all be
Charlie
neutralised.
Tanfield having to try and chase as much as possible. It's still possible for Perrett and Wiggins to get this lap, which means there's not as many points up the road. But of course, with Charlie Tanfield putting in this effort now, what's he going to have left in 3 laps' time anyway?
Yeah. Looks like a bridge too far for Charlie Tanfield, although his silver medal position is secure. Ben Marsh now just marking him. The front of the race, though, is Perrett and Wiggins, and they've nearly taken lap number 2 each as well. And they will, like Tanfield, pick up a further 20 points. Ben Wiggins will move to 53 points at this point. All of a sudden, everything is changing rapidly in the last couple of laps, but Ben Marsh is still in the box seat here. And Ben Marsh secures the victory by riding clear. That's the bell lap then. He has ridden clear. He's found the energy somewhere to steal a march on the rest of his closest rivals as Matt Bostock goes over the line, and Ben Marsh has won the points race in style. And he had to really defend as well. He's not entirely sure. He's going to wait, I think, Ben Marsh, for confirmation that he is the winner. But I don't think anyone could do it. He's not sure, is he, of the points tally?
Well, the problem is that the bell stopped being rung for everyone else. It was rung for Perrett and for Wiggins. They were given it, and they did actually get on the back of the bunch in that last lap. So it depends if they're going to be given the points, they're going to be given the lap, and how that tallies up.
It's still not enough by my maths to get near to Ben Marsh's 57 points. We're going to wait now for the final confirmation. The scores that we've got that you can see are after 11 sprints. They don't factor in the final points tally.
You can just see Martin Bridgewood there, the commissaire, walking away slightly, having some discussions, needing to look back on that to see where the points were given at the end, if the lap was given, what the biggish bunch was.
Doesn't dare celebrate, and he's still looking. Have I done it? He thinks he has. I agree. I think he has as well. But we still haven't had confirmation. And if it is confirmed, what a performance from Ben Marsh. Still we wait. Yeah. The other riders congratulating him, Will Roberts.
Well, either way, it was a brilliant ride from him. He put himself in the race early. He followed everything he had to do. Potentially just running out of legs towards the end. But even with that finish sprint that he had, leaving everything out there on the track, the scoreboard obviously still saying after 11 of 12 sprints. So the final sprint hasn't been given yet.
No, the discussions are still ongoing in the track centre, aren't they? But it's interesting to see the fellow riders, Reese Britton being the next, effectively congratulating him, and they, the peloton, if you like, the bunch, have given it the moral victory, if not anything else, to Ben Marsh, but we still don't know for sure. Martin Bridgewood has just ushered him over to have a little word. Rob Partridge there with his congratulations. Broad smile, so I presume it's good news. But it is a complicated sport, isn't it? And the points race is a complicated race, but a few more complicated than that, Alice. That really had us getting the calculators out.
Yeah,
it is all about what counts as the bunch, isn't it? That's the difficulty.
Exactly, and when it becomes the last sprint, there's nothing afterwards that gives you that indication of if they made it on, if they were still chasing, who got the points in that final sprint. You're wondering what that is. That's some women's tights that before the race would have been filled with some ice. It's very hot here in the velodrome tonight, so just using that as a cooling strategy, but of course that's melted during the length of this race, this very warm race.
Well, he only turns 21 in April, the 20-year-old Ben Marsh. He is, however, a former junior national champion in the individual pursuit scratch and the points race. And he's the winner of the senior and elite national title in the points race. He took full advantage, and it does sometimes happen in points races, doesn't it, of being a little bit incognito, flying under the radar. He certainly wasn't one of the riders who people had down as one of the big favourites. And it's that second move that he snuck in to take that second lap that was decisive. But every bit as decisive as the way that he snuck in and took that second lap was the way that he defended and the strength that he had when half a dozen big riders were doing their level best to unseat him. He seemed to have an answer to everything, even under the most obdurate of pressure. That's it for the endurance racers. Our attention is going to return to the women's sprint finals, then we'll have the Kieran semi, and then the mixed team para mixed finals, and then the Keirin finals at the end of it all.
Rules have changed in recent years with the points race before, where you couldn't be reabsorbed in the bunch by the time you cross the line to take the points. Normally you'd have to be out of the bunch still when you cross the line on the point sprint. That's something that has changed in recent years, and there was conversation around on the last lap, do you get the lap and the points? If you're given the bell and you still get into the bunch on that lap, do you get both the points and the lap, which of course is 30 points? So maybe big discussions that are happening. So you can see Perrett and Wiggins, were given the lap, and I think the points as well.
Yeah, that's the final result.
So it's Ben Marsh. Unfortunately, he's dropped to third place there.
Well, that could have been communicated a bit more rapidly by the organisation, and I think it could have been communicated to Ben Marsh slightly more rapidly as well, because I think he was told that he'd won. Certainly what it looked like.
So I think that rule, and I've not seen it since there was first talk of it, I haven't seen it happen. It's often the riders aren't quite getting back onto the peloton before they are absorbing those points, but it looks like that's what's happened that time, because we did see Will Perrett and Ben Wiggins, they did get the bell, but then before they crossed the line the next time they were back in the bunch, they've been given that those 30 points there.
Oh, a lot of that, the broadness of that smile has been wiped off his face now, and his gold medal has turned bronze. I mean, a fantastic reward, but I think that he thought that he'd won the lot. For my money, the points race is one of the most confusing races in the world, and I think that rule change has just made it more confusing, personally.
It has.
Not a fan of that. Will Perrett's just finding out that he's won. Me? All right, then let's concentrate on the medal presentation. The bronze medal. This is a women's elimination race. Katie Archibald finishing in bronze position. I think she'll be fairly happy with that. She is, by her own admission, I think, some way off her best form. That will come as Katie Archibald resumes her programme after a few setbacks and changes in her life. Returning to study. Anna Morris. A silver medal after a significant crash is a brilliant performance. She very nearly won the gold as well, but this meant so much to Erin Boothman, a senior national champion for the first time in her career at the age of 19. And I'm sure it won't be the last red, white and blue striped jersey she picks up in her career. She's a very, very classy bike rider, isn't she? She looks very smooth and elegant. She's got lovely position on the bike, and to coin a French phrase, a lot of souplesse about her pedal stroke. She's got a classy look about her.
She does. She looks very good on the bike. Very strong and powerful, but also tactically very good as well. And we can see very happy with that result.
Well, I hope we get to see the medal ceremony for the men's points race before the evening's out, although I think that might still be with the Court for Arbitration in Sport for about 3 years while they litigate that.
You can see a lot of questions down here with Will Perrett down by the judges panel. He wants to be 100% sure he's been given that win before he celebrates.
Emma Finnegan just walking behind him. Will Perrett, if that's the case, and it's confirmed, which we think it is, has just won a 4th consecutive points race title. In very unusual circumstances. And not a little confusion. Let's hear from Erin Boothman then.
Erin, congratulations. What a ride, national champion, senior national champion. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's super special. I mean, it's something you always dream of as a young kid, and yeah, it was nice as a junior, but I think when you make the step up to elite, the gap feels so big, but yeah, I'm over the moon to pull it off today.
Amazing. And talk us through your approach to that race. I mean, what was going through your mind as the field got whittled down?
Yeah, I mean, I guess at the start it was just kind of, yeah, trying to stay out of like issues and staying as near to the front as possible, but also while trying to save energy. And then the race got neutralised, and there was only about 8 of us left. And then I think from there on, my mindset kind of changed on the race, and yeah, I was pushing through gaps more and almost like not worried about how much energy I was using and just really committing to trying to get a medal. So yeah, I didn't expect a medal today, and I certainly didn't expect to win, but yeah, I couldn't be happier.
Fantastic. I mean, you won against some really big names there, and you know, I mean, how good does that feel, and what's your next big target from here?
Yeah, no, it feels amazing. I think the likes of Katie and Anna are like people who I massively look up to, so it's almost a bit weird racing them and like managing to compete against them, and yeah, today beating them, so it's strange, but yeah, again, I'm super happy, and yeah, I'm still always going to look up to them, but yeah, from now on, I just have to see if I can make the step onto the senior team, and yeah, just keep trying to get better.
What about the rest of this year? What's your big target?
Well, hopefully Commonwealth Games at the end of the year in Glasgow.
Good luck, and well done today. That was amazing.
Thanks.
In the meantime, confirmation, Will Perrett knows now, and makes his way across the track to greet family. It's been announced to the crowd after some hiatus there that he is the points champion once again. His nearest and dearest there on hand to congratulate him A peculiar way to win a title, but he'll take that all day long. And according to the rules, he did it the right way, and he deserves it. Can't say fairer than that. Just, it is rather harsh on Ben Marsh.
And 1 point in it as well to Ben Wiggins, so I wonder if Wiggins really did know that and really committed to that sprint. It'll be interesting to see that final sprint back from Perrott and Wiggins when they did catch the bunch, but having to go over the top of them to still contest that sprint, because of course whoever went over the line first in that made the difference.
Charlie Tanfield, after all of that, just warming down, who we thought at one point might be close to the gold medal himself, not even on the podium. What a dramatic last 10 laps that was in the men's points race. Now then, we've got the bronze medal match, race 1 in the women's sprint competition. And it's between Rhian Edmonds and Rihanna Paris-Smith. Rhian Edmonds possibly the favourites here, but if she is, not by much. This is match 1, the best of 3, of course, for the bronze medal.
Yeah, very difficult to call this one. We can just see Edmonds looking round. She's leading that one off the line. Paris-Smith just following her fairly closely, but it's been a very close competition throughout with many of these sprints. So very interesting to see which one this first race may go.
Yeah, particularly in the women's sprinting field. I think we've had some really close contests, with the exception to this point of a very dominant Emma Finucane. Rihanna Paris-Smith, though, is keeping a weather eye on what Rhian Edmonds is doing ahead of her. Edmonds beaten by Finucane in the semi-final, and Paris-Smith just beaten by Iona Moya. Ramping it up now. Paris-Smith doesn't want to get too far behind, wants to get a little bit closer before the bell, get into that wind shadow, make use of it, use a bit of speed off the banking to drop down into the shadow. Back straight, can she get past Paris-Smith? She does at this point, but she has the outside line. Iona Moya is going to hold on and take the first race ahead of Paris-Smith.
She did come out of the sprinters lane then, so I'm going to have to see and wait if that is a relegation. We will have the commissaires look back on that, but on that last bend, as Paris-Smith was just coming up around her, Edmonds coming out of that sprinters lane, which is not allowed to happen, especially
there it is.
Quite badly that second time she went over.
Good spot, Alice. If the commissaires are wise to that, that could well be a reversal there, and I think she knows it. Commissaires having a busy night, aren't they?
They have. We've seen a lot of regulations this morning in the Kieran rounds that were happening.
Yeah, they're definitely looking at that replay now, and they haven't announced the result to the crowd just yet, so he's just had to sort out the world's most complicated points race, and now he's got to look at this, and that's the clear moment where, as you noticed, that she deviated out above that red line, out of the sprinters lane, which normally should mean a relegation.
But it's not. So interesting. The board on our in the velodrome here, giving that to Edmonds as a win. So who knows?
Regulations, schmegulations. So this is round 1 of the gold medal clash here between Iona Moya and the strong favourite, the Welsh rider Emma Finucane, the European champion, the world record holder over 200 metres.
The fastest 2 qualifiers in the 200 metres this morning. So at the start of the day, when they were doing the qualifications, when we had those results, this is what you would expect. You would expect the fastest over those 200 metres to be in the final for the gold medal. Moya didn't get too much of a gap over everyone else in that team-inspired team, all very close behind her. Finucane a clear winner in that by half a second.
Finnegan leading from the front here. Checks to see what that gap is. Now commits to developing it. Still 3/4 tilt. Plenty left in the tank for Finnegan. A more full-blooded effort for Iona Moya just to get onto her wheel and onto the back straight. Finnegan can probably feel her presence there and know that she needs to make it pay on the back straight, but isn't able to get alongside her. Pinned to her back wheel now. Impossible to come round at this late stage, and Finnegan wins by a bike length. And again with something to spare.
Yeah, Finnegan just keeping an eye there between her legs, making sure that Moya wasn't going to come around the outside. And an easy win there for Finnegan. One more ride to go for her. If she can win that to go through, if not, we will have a decider, but looking quite comfortable there from Finnegan.
So from the women's sprint action to the men's, and we'll have the men's Kieran semi-finals next. In fact, the first heat is being readied, so it won't be too long before we see the likes of Lyle Craig, Peter Mitchell, Hayden Norris, Hamish Turnbull, Anthony Young, and a certain Matt Richardson on the track, from one European sprint champion to another. So this is Kieran semi-final number 1. Craig Mitchell, Mitchell had a brilliant ride in qualifying, winning his heat. Hayden Norris, Matt Richardson, Hamish Turnbull and Anthony Young. Three of these riders qualifying by rights, 3 coming through the repechage in each heat. And with a similar degree of dominance to Emma Finnegan, Matt Richardson has been going about his business here in Manchester this weekend with awesome efficiency. He's not looked threatened once, let's be honest.
He hasn't. Like you say, 3 riders coming straight through into this final, so 1 less ride in their legs. Pete Mitchell, Matt Richardson, Hamish Turnbull, those 3 riders coming straight through. Slightly fresher for the day.
So the electric beast is unleashed. Alice, you're telling me something very interesting about wooden velodromes across the world. Switch to electric bikes, Derny bikes, is much heavier than the old petrol ones, and they're having a bit of a detrimental effect on the wood.
Yeah, the track's struggling with the weight of these new electric bikes that are being used more in the velodromes that have national teams. They're using these bikes day in, day out to get the riders up to speed, do some really fast efforts with them, some longer bunch efforts for the endurance riders at higher speeds. So yeah, the track's struggling with it a little bit.
Taking a bit of a battering, as everybody else has been, under the hammer that is Matt Richardson. He's on the wheel of Pete Mitchell, though, who shouldn't discount at all. So the first 3 riders in each heat here at the semi-final stage will qualify for the big final, so to speak, where the medals are at stake. As Pete Mitchell looks around, and as a result, Anthony Young just gets a little bit of a gap, which he's going to exploit. I think he might as well go if they're going to let him get a bit of an advantage, but Pete Mitchell rears up alongside him. Matt Richardson has dropped right back down as the Derny pulls off.
3 riders to go through, so making sure that you are in those 3 riders. We start to see Matt Richardson head over the top here, really lighting up. We can see how much more speed he's got, and Turnbull, the rider, following him, knowing he was going to do that, but he can't even follow him in his wheel and in the...
It's the back straight where he just simply destroys everybody, isn't it? And he's got the power to hold it all the way to the line. Everybody else second best. Matt Richardson goes through. I think it's Hamish Turnbull in second place and Pete Mitchell closing for 3rd. I think those 3 qualify for the final. And the other 3 riders will take their place in the second final from places 7 to 12. Turnbull knew exactly what he was doing there, I think. He sticks on the wheel of Richardson at this point, and knowing the likely outcome, I think he's just playing for a place in the final.
He was, and just managing to get over Pete Mitchell there. Mitchell not also able to follow that wheel after doing a lot of work earlier on in that Kieran. But Turnbull, knowing the wheel he needed to follow and sticking with that tactic.
So which 3 riders are going to join Turnbull, Mitchell and Richardson? We'll find out in the second semi-final heat. And this is the start with James Ambrose Parrish, Archie Gill, Marcus Hiley, Stephen Lloyd, Will Monday of Star Trek Cycling and Ollie Pettifer. So Gill, Hiley and Lloyd going through by right. Monday, Pettifer and Ambrose Parrish having to go through the repechage route. Not such a clear-cut favourite here. Far from it. This is a much more evenly balanced heat. And the battle for the first 3 places is going to be unpredictable and intense. But a lot of pressure on the 3 riders from Team Inspired. Archie Gill, Marcus Hiley and Ollie Pettifer, the youngster.
Hiley and Monday in this heat, riders that actually came second in the repechage earlier, but the riders winning that being relegated for various different reasons. So making their way into the semi-final here, looking to book themselves a place in the final. Just a slight delay here from the judges. Not checked if the riders are all ready yet to give the Derny a go-ahead, but he's just coming up onto the track now. Make sure the riders are ready. We'll give the Derny a go-ahead, and then the Derny will set off from the other side of the track before the riders hear the gun and they start to get on his wheel. They have to keep their formation that they've drawn so far for a whole lap until they can start moving around in that line. The Derny will pick them up at around 30 kilometres an hour and drop them off at 50 kilometres an hour when he pulls off 3 laps to go.
So the first of these 3 laps, and it's the big Welshman who drops to the back, Stephen Lloyd. Will Monday, very experienced rider from Star Trek Cycling. Plenty of experience, as Alice was explaining earlier, in the tracks of Europe. Ollie Pettifer is the rider second from last, being tracked by the Welshman, Stephen Lloyd. Tucked away in the middle is a rider who is worth keeping your eye on as well, James Ambrose Parrish. He's different from the rest. He's more of an endurance rider, really, and sprung a real surprise in the opening heat, where he just went extremely early, and I think he's going to have to do that again, isn't he? I mean, everybody will be forewarned and forearmed that that's his tactic, but he can't afford to leave it and compete with the bigger sprinters at the finish line. So watch out for the rider with the black helmet and the white kit, possibly to make the first move here when the Derny pulls off.
He is still looking around, seeing what movement is happening, but like you say, he went very early in the round before. We can see a lot of movement also happening now, so Hiley's starting to move up and kicking here. Still 2 laps to go until the finish, but wanting to get over these riders and get to the front. Ambrose Parrish trying to get on his wheel, but not quite able to do that.
That's a slight difference, isn't there? Just that raw power, that raw speed. Ambrose Parrish paying the price for that as Archie Gill comes alongside his teammate there. But still, at the moment, it's Marcus Hiley just about is holding on with Gill and Monday. Though the first 3 places, there's a big charge on the inside, and it's going to be a team-inspired 1, 2, 3. I think it's Hiley who holds on. It might be close to 3rd place. Archie Gill, and there's a crash. And down goes, is that Hiley? Gill in the end, I think it was.
No, Hiley crashing.
Hiley crashing.
I think it might have been Gill, just checking here. It was Pettifer. Pettifer, I think, potentially could be relegated there. He went off the track. He went below the line there.
Oh, one for the commissaires then, is it?
One for the commissaires. Unfortunately, I think the commissaires may still be discussing that points race final lap. So I'm not sure if he was watching that race to the line, but you can just see here Pettifer darting underneath.
Messy sprint, isn't it?
And if he went on the Côte d'Azur...
Oh, it might have been there. It wasn't much.
Don't know if there was, and then he came underneath Hiley. He was looking the other way. You don't expect anyone to come underneath you like that, and just having no control over the bike when you're not expecting someone to take you from that angle.
So pick the bones out of this one then. So Jason Kenny getting involved here, looking after his young charges. Here we go. We'll get a clearer view of what Pettifer did or didn't do here. They're dipping into the light blue, the Côte d'Azur. He knows he's done it as well, but there's very little room for him to get out of trouble there.
I think Hiley may be having a word with his teammate there.
There's a ragged bit of riding, let's put it that way at best. And he's pretty bashed up there. Marcus Hiley, unimpressed with what's just happened by the looks of it. I'd rather not be Oliver Pettifer in the track centre right now.
I mean, obviously, it's a racing incident. He didn't mean to do it. Just wanting to try and book himself a place in the final. But to me, I'm not a commissaire, but that's disqualification or relegation. So we will see what they decide to do. They are having a look at it now.
Well, we have seen a similar deviation off the racing path by Rhian Edmonds just overlooked by the commissaires, so we'll have to see which view they take. He's had a very busy night, as Martin. Give me a break, he's saying. In communication with a colleague in the stand who's able to look at the video evidence and communicate with the chief commissaire about what he thinks he's spotted. This is really where lip readers are at a premium. Well, Pettifer was in those first three positions over the line, wasn't he? And that's what's at stake here.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to obviously change the outcome of the crash. That's happened. It was a mistake. Busy day for Martin. And we're having another replay here. It's definitely off the track. We've seen a disqualification for that earlier on in the repechage. I think it was Iona Hepburn who did go down off the track, and that was how Will Munday made his way into this next round, the semi-finals. And actually, if the same thing happens, the relegation, then it would actually be Monday that benefits again, making his way into that final, as he was the fourth rider across the line. So let's see, but it's taking a while for them to make a decision. So maybe I was a bit too certain of it, because obviously it's a harder decision to make. Training
for a new career, aren't you, as a commissaire? If I had my way, I'd ban them all. Well, it was a clear deviation, wasn't it? Both wheels were on the Côte d'Azur.
And maybe for Pettifer, it's unfortunate that Hiley did crash, because if he hadn't have had a crash, then maybe it wouldn't have been investigated as much as it is being at the moment.
Yeah, it might have just gone under the radar a little bit.
Potentially.
Yeah,
so
that's
we'll
a very
see.
good point. The crash coming after the line. Feels like, just looking down, a decision might have been made, and it might be relayed now to the riders. The crowd they're being kept entertained. But we're still
Next
waiting
we've got
for
the
final
mixed
decision.
team sprint though, something we had the qualifiers for this morning. We found it very exciting actually, something you don't see as often.
Yeah, the gold medal match could be extremely interesting. We'll introduce you to that as we look one more time at Ollie Pettifer's deviation from the line and the subsequent crash through the line. That was a scrappy, that was by any measure a scrappy move, wasn't it?
It was. It didn't help the fact that Hailey obviously was looking in the other direction. Not his fault at all, but just losing some control there, and it did obviously look on camera that Pettifer was forcing him up the track, but that's just what happens when you have that much speed at the end of a Kieran race, forcing you a little bit higher up the track when you hit the bankings.
Well, I can assure you that we are as much in the dark at the moment as they are, and you are. He isn't. Perhaps we will now be given the result. You can see the litigation still going on about the points race there. Ben Marsh was still stood there close to the commissaire's pen as well, so there's that minor issue still bubbling away in the background. Meanwhile, the paracyclists are having to wait while this all gets sorted out.
Yeah, obviously with this Kieran's, it's important they still have the race to find out about for if they're going to be in the main final or the minor final. So obviously sorting that out as quickly as possible so those riders can start to work out. As we're seeing Martin going back to Ben Marsh now, speaking about that points race. And potentially it's a rule that Ben Marsh didn't know about. We can see a handshake from them. So I think that's all settled and everyone learning about the new rules in the points race that have only come into play in the last couple of years.
OK, we've got the mixed team sprint paracyclist finals now, and it's going to be a fascinating affair. In the meantime, we do have the result, and it looks as if Ollie Pettifer has been relegated. We'll just confirm that when we've got it. But just concentrating on this team sprint now. The rules are, in the paracycling team, that with mixed classifications and mixed genders, there must be at least one female rider in each team of 3. And in this case, it's Lissy Simpson, who's in the gate there with her arms aloft. She will be the first rider off. And then the aggregate total of classification points for these riders must be equalled out. And no team can stack the team with riders with less impairments, and each team is only allowed a maximum of 10 points in the classifications. And without getting lost in the detail of that, most of these teams are riding a similar total of around about 9 points. But all of these riders come with a different form of impairment in terms of cycling and something else to offer as well. The team in the black and white is called More Mods Than Watts, and on the other side of the track they're going to be racing against this team, the Summit Seekers, and it's young Elsie Hughes who is going to be the first rider off out of the gate. She'll be supported by Ben Wood, who'll take the second leg, and Josh Betley, who will see it out. Watch out in particular for the man in the middle, the second rider. He'll take the second lap. That's Callum DeBois from the More Mods Than Watts team. Rider with one leg. And he'll be handing over to Chris Scott, who got off to a very slow start in the qualifiers for this final.
Only about 0.4 of a second between these two teams this morning, so a very close match between these, and with the practice this morning maybe we can see those changes time and the tactics change as well.
So the Summit Seekers with young Elsie Hughes getting this race underway, and Lissy Simpson leading out the More Mods Than Watts. These two riders doing the first lap. Ben Woods, and a better start this time around from Josh Betley. fact, all these teams, I think they learned a little bit from their qualifying rounds, but it's the Summit Seekers who have an advantage after Elsie Hughes' opening rounds. That could all change, though, as they get really motoring now for more mods than watts with Callum Du Bois. Ben Woods now with his last man on his wheel for the Summit Seekers. Josh Betley takes over, and it's really close between these two teams, just a third of a second separating them. It's all going to be down to the last riders here. Betley then for the Summit Seekers, more watts than mods. This is going to be so close. Which way is it going to go? Chris Scott doing the anchor leg for more mods than watts, and they take it, but only by a fraction of a second. 57.4 plays 57.634.
Very close, and both teams going quicker than this morning, so we'll be very happy with that. More mods than watts with that bronze medal, but very impressive riding by all these riders.
That was the bronze medal match, of course. So more mods than watts take the bronze medal ahead of Summit Seekers by 0.2 of a second. That was a thriller. And also, hats off, just a brilliant exhibition.
Yeah, it really was. Not something you see so often.
No, a really rare event. What was really interesting to see how much work. In fact, when I arrived at the track here for the afternoon session, before it began, I saw both teams going through their pacing and practicing this when the track was open for practice. So they probably won't have had the experience of racing it particularly often, if ever. And they have learned over the course of today how to marshal their strengths. A little bit of disappointment, though, for Josh Betley and for Elsie Hughes, the Yorkshire woman. But Lissy Simpson is going to take another medal away. Gold medalist already at these national championships, and she's a bronze medalist here. As we introduce the gold medal finalists now. And it's Crystal Lane Wright for the Enduro team. She's a very strong rider indeed. Jodie Cundy, one of the most decorated Paralympians anywhere in the world. And along with Sarah Story, the two most decorated Paralympians in British cycling history by far. He'll be taking the last leg, and he made a real difference last time.
So this morning the trio clocked a time of 53.299. Enduro 54.068. So fairly close between these two teams. They'll definitely be looking to improve on that.
Enduro have a real ace card to play in their final leg. Up at the top of the track there with the black kit and the white helmet, that's Archie Atkinson, who's got a flying final lap in him, but he'll be up against Jodie Cundy, so that's going to be a very close contest indeed. Matthew Robertson will take the middle leg for Team Enduro. But they're going to be led off by Crystal Lane Wright. This for the gold medal then. Silver medal guaranteed for the losers. A lot at stake. And off they go then. Enduro on the top of the track. Now, what happened there with
Manny Robertson?
Matt Robinson
scored his set foot out there. So.
Well, that's a disaster, and that's game over pretty much for that team. Now, are they going to be allowed to race again? I don't know. Or is that the gold medal going up the track and away from them? As Rebecca Newitt takes them through the first lap, and they hand over to Jacob Smith with Jodie Cundy in the anchor leg. The gold medal is theirs unless the race is stopped, but it's too late for that now. So this is a gold medal ride for Jacob Smith. He'll hand over, take the bell. Jodie Cundy, a lap of honour effectively for him. He'll do his very best to post the best possible time and make sure that they go out and take this gold in style. But it was massively unfortunate for the man from Woolwich CC. Jodie Cundy takes another major title in his career, a British National Championship in the mixed team sprint para-mixed finals. But they did it unopposed in the end. They might have done it anyway. They could well have taken the gold medals by rights, but that does take the edge slightly off that, and it was just very unfortunate that Matt Robinson unclipped off the start line.
Really unfortunate. We can just see that. Just losing his foot there, coming out on the right-hand side. And that was their ride, pretty much over. Crystal Lane didn't know that happened. She was already on her lap, and as she pulled up, just looking for her teammates, which obviously never came through after those issues at the start. But the trio improving their time from this morning by around half a second, so a very impressive improvement from them for that gold medal ride, really bringing it all into this final. And of course, enduro, even though they weren't able to complete that ride, still picking up a silver medal.
Yeah. Jody Cundy salute to the Manchester crowd, as he has done so many times throughout his long career. 47 years of age, Jody Cundy, seeing it home for the trio. Rebecca Newark and Jake Smith, also part of that team. So gold medal banked for Jody Cundy. And next up we should have the women's sprint finals, race 2, in which Emma Finucane can clinch the gold medal. Well, just drawing breath after at times chaotic final session. Crystal Lane right there, warming down, gold medalist, part of that, well, not gold medalist, silver medalist I should say, part of that unfortunate enduro team who were sunk after Matt Robinson unclipped. Just in conversation with her opponent on the trio team, Rebecca Newark, just commiserating, I think, that they didn't quite get the race they deserved. That's Archie Atkinson with the dark hair there, the younger rider, just scratching his head in the black skin suit, seeing the funny side of it, but a silver medal they'll take away anyway. Well, on the schedule, we should be cracking straight on with the women's sprint finals, race 2, for the bronze medal and then the gold medal finals. Don't quite know what the delay is this time, but there has been a hectic final day. There's been all sorts going on. The commissaires have been heavily involved. We've had at least 2 crashes. We've had riders unclipping. It's been a busy night, and we are slightly running behind schedule now. Emma Finucane is still track centre, just walking around the pits, waiting to be called forward to the track. She'll be obviously in the second of these races coming up, the women's sprint finals. We'll have the bronze, the second race in the bronze medal match first.
So interestingly, we have the start list for the Kieran that's happening later, and the results as well. Pete Mitchell had a warning actually for moving down on a rider, but just a warning doesn't change the result. But confirmed here that Pettifer was relegated for not holding his line in the final sprint. So we will see him go.
News as well of the rider we should be about to see on the track in the bronze medal women's sprint, Rhiannon Edmonds, who we thought had deviated out of the sprinting line in her first match against Rihanna Paris-Smith. The result stands, but she's been given a warning. Well, here are our 2 competitors. Rihanna Paris-Smith making her way to the track as well in the company of Rhiannon Edmonds, and the road is running out a little bit for Rihanna Paris-Smith, who has to win this next encounter, or she'll be out of the medals and be finishing 4th in this competition. So she needs to be strong, and she needs to be creative. find a way of getting the better of Rhian Edmonds, who was a little bit lucky not to have that result reversed, having deviated north of the red line that she's not allowed to deviate from, when she was side by side with Rihanna Paris-Smith in the closing meters of that sprint. Well, the action will resume fairly soon. Not entirely sure. I think the commissaires have just had so much paperwork and admin to do. I think they just need a little breather to catch up before we can get going again. But the sprinters' bikes have been called forward. They are ready, and so too are the gold medal riders, Emma Finucane and Iona Moya. The medals could be decided with these next two races, or we could be going to a third and final race a little bit later on in the evening. All right then, let's get the racing back on. For 5 minutes without a bike race, let's have another. She's got to be on her best behaviour now, hasn't she, Rhian Edmonds? You can see the W by her name there. That means warned.
Yeah, making sure she doesn't make any more mistakes here. Of course, she will be looking to wrap this up this round to pick up that bronze medal, but like we've seen before, it was very close between these two riders. They will be starting in different positions on the track this time. So Paris-Smith at the bottom of the track, having to lead this out for at least the first half a lap, at least walking pace. And then we will see them start to really race this using all the track.
And we're ready to roll. Paris-Smith then rolling down. Edmonds letting her go. It was a close sprint, it was a close call last time out. Rhian Edmonds did get the better of her, perhaps a little bit illegitimately. So this is no foregone conclusion for Rhian Edmonds whatsoever against a formidably strong, very explosive opponent. Rihanna Paris-Smith. Smith trying to second guess what the next move is that's going to come her way. As Edmonds keeps her guessing. That's the second or third time she's just fainted to drop down and try and steal the line, and again forces Paris-Smith perhaps against her will to react a little bit as she takes the bell. And as she often does, Paris-Smith losing that height just to drop down. And on the back straight, finding it hard to match the pace of Rhian Edmonds, who has to stay inside that red line, let's not forget. No deviation this time, and a clean win, and that is the bronze medal secured for Rhian Edmonds. Paris-Smith just fading a little bit in that matchup. And she knows it now that that is the bronze medal, and I don't think there's going to be a steward's inquiry there. That was clean as a whistle, that one.
It was. Paris-Smith was really trying to get height as she was crossing the finish line with 1 lap to go, trying to get the height to have speed and open up her sprint, but just staying up there too long. Rhian Edmonds seeing that and going underneath, taking the sprint line, and of course once she's there, Paris-Smith isn't able to go down into that line. A mistake there from Rihanna Paris-Smith, unfortunately, but 2 straight rides there for the bronze medal.
Paris-Smith took her bronze medal in the Keirin, having to settle for 4th place here, but this is the gold medal match. And we've got a really strong favourite, as you can see. Emma Finucane is already 1 win to the good here. And the firm expectation is that she will see it home and take the gold against Iona Moya, unless Moya can do something exceptional now. You do get the impression that Finucane has, so far, to reach this point in the competition, actually been holding a little bit back despite the overwhelming power of her victories. She might just put on a bit of a display in this final and potentially decisive match.
Yeah, Finucane has looked so comfortable throughout this whole competition, not just today. I was speaking to her earlier though, she did say that she is starting to feel it. They normally have the Kieran after the sprint in a competition, so normally it would go to team sprint, into the individual sprint that we have now, into the Keirin. But obviously the Keirin's happening yesterday. It's been really tough. The sprint competition also normally happens over 2 days, so again we've seen them back up and down on the track constantly with these sprints. Normally a lot more rest between these efforts that they have.
Gearing up for battle now. Iona Moya looks round, sees that European Champions jersey going high on the bank, and going to use a bit of that speed as she drops down, and will try and take the wind shadow here and do it on the back straight to come soaring past her, which she does with great ease. Moya under pressure now to shut the gap. Away she goes, Emma Finucane, to a national title here in the sprints. She has been nothing short of outstanding. The expected result, but take nothing away from the form that this young Welsh rider is in. That was brilliant, unruffled progress. The gold medal around her neck before she even arrived here in Manchester, and she has confirmed it in great style. Iona Moya, as good as she is, wasn't a match for Finucane.
An amazing competition for Finucane across all 4 days of this competition, looking so dominant, making it look so easy, and you can just see as she goes over the top there of Moya. Moya's still pushing on, seeing if she could do anything, but she knew at that point that she was settling for a silver medal. Of course, an amazing achievement, winning that silver medal in this competition against the rider she is. But Finucane, she's wearing those European champs bands for a reason. One of the best sprinters in the world at the moment for women.
That's been very much in terms of the sprint events that we've had over the national championships. The story of the two sprint events for both the men and the women has been the story of two newly crowned European champions in totally dominant form in their different classifications. Matt Richardson and this young woman, Emma Finucane. GB have a pretty outstanding pair here, don't they, that they need to nurture for the next 2 years, and hope that that is enough to bring back 2 gold medals from the Los Angeles Olympics in a couple of years' time, looking ahead. But many more targets in between now and then. Still a long way off in terms of the Olympic cycle, but signs are good for Great Britain in sprinting.
They really are. And yeah, like you say, plenty of competitions. Selection currently happening for the Hong Kong Nations Cup that is happening in around 8 weeks' time for these riders. Finucane, I'm sure, will be there. Of course, the Commonwealth Games happening after that, where she will represent Wales, happening up in Glasgow, and then the World Championships at the end of the year, I believe, happening in Singapore.
So we've got a couple of medal presentations and victory ceremonies to come. First up, the men's points race medal ceremony, which will be interesting to watch the body language on the podium after the, well, you have to say, confusion that reigned towards the end of that complicated points race. And then we'll see these riders take to the podium again after the mixed team sprint para mixed finals. Yes, getting his head ruffled there, the unfortunate Matt Robertson.
Only one race left to happen on the boards tonight. 2 races, men's Kieran, 2 heats. First, the 7th to 12th race, and then the final, 1st to 6th. But for now, some victory ceremonies.
Well, I can actually see the riders who competed in the points competition who are going to be first, making their way ever so leisurely. Well, they've switched the order now, so we're going to have, first of all, the medal presentations for the team sprint para mixed finals. And in third place, getting the bronze medal, the combination of more mods than Watts. Bearded figure in white of Callum Du Bois, second rider. The man who took it home for that bronze medal is Chris Scott. And the woman who got it all underway, Lizzie Simpson, already a gold medalist in these national championships. She adds a bronze to her collection. Callum Warboys, at times as Du Bois, I should say, has lit this velodrome up over the last couple of days and put on a real display of class. And Chris Scott did a fantastic leg, ensuring, and it was very, very close as well in the bronze medal match, that they beat Summit Seekers, who were just bumped off into fourth place. And this was an unfortunate turn of events for this team, who finished in the silver medal position and weren't really able to compete, because despite the fact that Crystal Lane Wright got Team Enduro off to a very good start, it was this man who gets the silver medal, Matt Robertson, who after 2 or 3 pedal strokes, his foot came out of the clips and that was it, game over. And the man who was supposed to take the third leg, Archie Atkinson, looked round and realised in an instant that the gold medal, the chances of a gold medal, which were realistic as well, had gone. All of which means that the trio take the gold medal. Rebecca Newark, P1 for her. She got the race underway. Jacob Smith looked after Jodie Cundy on the second leg. And Cundy, well, back home somewhere, he's probably got an entire room full of these things. Plus all the other silverware, goldware and bronzeware that he's accrued during his long career, the 47-year-old. Great ride from Cundy, though. He's such a pugnacious character, Jodie Cundy, in the best sense of the word, that he's probably a bit disappointed they didn't have a proper scrap with Team Enduro to earn that gold medal in a slightly different fashion. But at the end of the day, they got it all right. So that victory ceremony has actually slightly usurped or changed the running order that we were given. What we should have seen there, interestingly, was the medal ceremony for the men's points race. But Alice, you've had a bit of word from Track Centre that we've got a slight hiatus and maybe a bit of a wait.
Yeah, the points race is still being calculated, so we're not going to see the points race victory ceremony until after this Kieran final. So a lot of decision is happening over this. The commissaire is still thinking and talking about it between the bottom of the track and the top of the track. So a lot of drama there in the points race. More drama after the race than in the race, almost.
Well, the race was dramatic enough, but the litigation that has gone on afterwards is I mean, almost unprecedented, isn't it? I can't remember such a complicated and thorny problem that they're having to resolve here.
I suppose it's something that happens with new rules. They get questioned. And like I said, from when that rule came into existence, only within the last couple of years, I don't remember seeing a race where it's actually affected the race. Like I say, most riders who are looking to try and gain that lap, not quite making it, but by the time they have that final sprint and just settling for the 10 points in the line. So we're going to have to see what the commissaires decide to do. Probably a big talking point that's going to happen within track cycling, and something that riders are going to learn more and more. Many riders potentially don't even know of that rule change, and maybe it's going to be something that we see riders trying to use more and more in races coming up as well. And of course, a rule that also affects the Madison, as the rules for Madison and points races are very similar.
Still a lot of activity down in the Commissaire's pen, that's for sure. And we're not going to see that medal ceremony until the end of the evening, where we will see probably then 3 medal ceremonies, if they've managed to iron it out by then. The women's sprint victory ceremony and the men's Keirin victory ceremony. And it is to the men's Keirin that we return now on the track imminently, because the men's Keirin, Alice, is the only medal yet to be resolved, apart, that is, from the men's points race, which we still haven't got a clue about. That aside, this is the last outstanding matter, isn't it, the men's Keirin?
It is. So 2 races that are happening. All the riders we saw in the previous 2 races back on track. But like we said, the first 3 of those previous 2 races going through to the gold medal ride-off for 1st to 6th. These are the riders going for 7th to 12th. The minor final.
I've got a question about that, Alice. What's the point of the minor final?
Well, otherwise you wouldn't know who came 7th to 12th, because they're all just mangled in different heats.
That's
and
true.
Of course, if it's a UCI race, of course, where there are points, and points can be really important, especially for the likes of Olympics qualification.
So that's really what it's about.
You need to be able to at least award a position to award points.
Because in other disciplines you simply have, you're eliminated, you haven't made it through to the next round,
yes.
Effectively, so it's not dissimilar.
No, but there's often, I think, because they've had sort of qualification rounds, maybe they use that as how they do it, but when you make it through, you have, around 24 riders, I guess.
That does make sense.
If someone says, oh, where did you come in the Kieran? And they're like, oh, 7th to 12th. Maybe a bit confusing.
Well, points aside, and standings aside, there's points to be proven here. As James Ambrose Parrish just unclips, that was a little bit ungainly as he made his way up the track there. Takes his place there at the top of the track. We've got all 6 riders now. Marcus Hiley, Archie Gill, Will Munday, Stefan Lloyd, James Ambrose Parrish and Oliver Pettifer, who would have thought that he would have been in the medal race, but he's not. He's been relegated. He takes his place in the 7th to 12th Kieran heat instead, the minor race.
Like I said before, having to go behind the bike, the Derny, in the position that they are on the line at the moment for at least a lap. We used to see a lot of elbowing and jostling for position for where they wanted to be in that line, but having to hold that position, I confirmed that earlier with some of the sprinters. I was speaking to Finnegan about it, and I asked her about that rule. She actually didn't know if it was 1 lap or 2 laps. She had to hold the position, so I had confirmation from the coach down there.
Right.
So 1 lap, now they can start moving around in this string. We don't see it so often. Like I say, it's normally when the Derny's pulling off with 3 laps to go that we do start to see some movement in these riders.
Ollie Pettifer, the man who deviated from the course in the sprint, that meant his relegation in the semi-final. His stablemates Marcus Hiley and Archie Gill. Pettifer's still one of the favourites to take this minor final, though, isn't he? If he's got his head screwed on still, if he's not been a little bit distracted by what happened to him.
Yeah, definitely. He has got a warning, obviously, from that, so needs to be a little bit careful here. Derny pulling off, so the rider's up at around 50 kilometres an hour at the moment. You can see gaps really opening up as there starts to be some acceleration and some movement happening in this string. So only for 6th place, but the rider's really wanting to win this.
Well, that is actually contrary to the information I've got. I've got the wrong start list in front of me. Of course, that's Lyle Craig who is in this race. Lyle Craig right up alongside the Welshman, Stefan Lloyd. And Stefan Lloyd takes it home and takes a scalp there against 3 riders from Team Inspired. The big Welshman, good performance from him. And he finishes in 7th place. Powerful sprint from Stefan Lloyd, holding off the fast finishing Lyle Craig there.
Pettifer just coming over the top there, lunging for the line, trying to get 7th place there. Like we said, these positions matter, and of course, more races is more experience, especially for these younger riders making their way onto this squad.
Well, at the end of a long 3 days of commentary, I'm quite glad in a way, Alice, that was the minor final, because I didn't entirely know who was in it. I definitely know, however, who is in the medal final that we're going to enjoy. This is the last bit of racing on the track before the final medals will be hung around the necks of the athletes. And this is the start list. Archie Gill, Marcus Heidi, who was brought down in that crash there after the line on the heat that he won. Peter Mitchell, William Munday from Star Trek Cycling, Matt Richardson, who's obviously the big favourite, and Hamish Turnbull. So 4 riders from the GB setup of Team Inspired, and 1 superstar rider who will be extremely confident of victory here in the Keirin. European champion. He's one of the danger men though. Pete Mitchell, on his day, has the capacity to upset the apple cart here.
And understandably, looks like Hiley isn't starting this race. Only 5 riders down there at the bottom of the track.
True.
Of course, with that really hard crash, and which is really disappointing as well. He obviously won the semi-final, so obviously having good legs, obviously wanting to do something here, but just the injuries from that crash not getting to the start line here.
So just 5 riders then in this Keirin instead. 3 medals up for grabs. Will Munday getting a slap on the back. Matt Richardson, Derny.
So these riders will have drawn their positions of where they are starting, picking numbers off of the clipboard of the rider. So Will Munday, I would say, is in the perfect position here. He will be able to slot in just behind Matt Richardson, and I'm sure will do everything to try and follow him, to try and pick himself up a national medal.
Hamish Turnbull is the rider on the wheel of the Derny. Pete Mitchell moves into 2nd place. Archie Gill then closing that gap. There's Mitchell, Gill. Then comes the big favourite, Richardson. And on his wheel, Will Munday. It's not a bad wheel to have, Matt Richardson's, if you can hold it. And that's a big if. Back straight when Matt Richardson just hits the nitro button. It's just unstoppable, isn't it?
It really is. All riders riding very close to each other at the moment. We see those gaps opening up sometimes. 1 lap until this Derny is pulling off the front. And then the race is really on from there. 3 laps to go.
Hold on to your hats. This is the last bit of racing after 4 days here in Manchester. The final race, and it's the medal race in the Keirin. And it features one of the outstanding superstars of the last few days of racing. Matt Richardson, the European champion. The red-hot favourites to take another gold medal here. Richardson as the Derny pulls off. And Richardson starts to get motoring. Pete Mitchell, though, is the first to go over the top. But here comes Richardson, just repositioning himself. And there he goes, Richardson, making his move pretty early, sweeping past the last remaining riders who are threatening to unseat him. It's Hamish Turnbull, I think, in 2nd place at the moment. He takes the bell. He's gone so early, Matt Richardson. This is just exhibition stuff. Has he gone too early? No. He can hold this all the way to the line. An astonishing ride from Matt Richardson. Irrepressibly brilliant. It's Turnbull who finishes in 2nd place. Will Munday picking up the bronze medal. But nobody else was even close to Matt Richardson. And he wanted to make that look good, didn't he, Alice? He went a long way out because he can.
He did. Last race of the week, like you say. He wanted to win that one in style. He's been saving so much energy all week compared to these other riders, just having to do enough to get himself into the next round, into the final, into the gold medal, winning those national titles. But he did that in style. And Hamish Turnbull in second. Will Monday, I would say, is an outstanding ride from him. You can see how happy he is with that bronze medal.
Yeah, brilliant. He'll be on the podium very soon to pick up a second gold medal. A third gold medal. Kieran, individual sprint and team sprint, the clean sweep from Matt Richardson. In the meantime, we understand that there has been a decision made in the men's points race. I'm in half a mind whether to tell you or just wait to see which rider appears on the podium. I've got the news, I might as well tell you. They have reversed their reversal of their decision, and it has been given to Ben Marsh.
I have the
I have in my hand a piece of paper, pending them changing their minds again.
So in second place, we have Charlie Tanfield picking up the silver medal. Ben Wiggins in third place. Will Perry, unfortunately, dropping to fourth place. So thinking he'd won the title, dropping to fourth. Ben Marsh winning on 57 points. 54 points for Charlie Tanfield, 53 points for Ben Wiggins in the end. Here's a replay of what happened there.
And all that confusion, that was one of the early sprints that went the way of Matt Bostock, but Marsh was all over the sprint, so vigilant, having taken those 2 laps. I mean, the rules are one thing, aren't they, Alice, but I think all sports fans, whether they're neutrals or heavily invested in it, they know a good performance and a valiant performance when they see one, and it did feel like a little bit of an injustice at the time. So perhaps the right decision has been met, regardless of its legalities. 20 years of age and a national champion in the points race. And that was in the immediate aftermath of finishing the race when he thought he'd won it. But that wasn't the end of the story, because Will Perrett, shortly after that, was introduced to the crowd on the tannoy as the winner of the competition. Greeted his family, and about an hour later we find out that he wasn't the winner.
And the men's endurance race is not coming without their drama this weekend, of course, with the drama yesterday of the elimination race as well, but there was a false elimination there, having to change that result, that round for them for the final, really affecting the medals. And again here, so we can just see Ben Marsh, Ben Wiggins talking to each other, everyone trying to work out what's gone on there. But I'd say no doubt about the result, but the current final points race result, Ben Marsh winning the national title.
There's a lot of detail to unpick there. Will Perrett's relegation now to fourth place and off the podium behind Ben Wiggins is a little bit hard to understand, I'll confess, without an intense look at the way that last lap played out.
So what they've done in the end is they have decided to give Perrett and Wiggins the lap for what they got right on the line, but they didn't get the final points on the sprint. So they did gain the lap, which did help them jump up, of course, but they didn't get the 10 and 6 points in the final sprint.
And of course Wiggins was ahead of Perrett before that sprint, so therefore finishes above him in terms of points. And that's why he's finished on the podium and Perrett is off the podium.
Yes, of course. So the final sprint was actually given to Will Salter and Denholm Edwards, who were further back in the race, not fighting for those medals.
Well, we've got Ben Wiggins and we've got Ben Marsh. What we haven't got is the newly promoted silver medalist, Charlie Tanfield. Alice, I'm wondering whether he's gone home. It's not impossible. Well, it does add to the drama of the event in a perhaps unwanted way, but it was a thrilling contest and a brilliant ride, and that's what we should really focus on. Women's sprinters as well, so we'll have 3 medal ceremonies before we sign off here, finally from Manchester. Iona Moyer, silver medalist, and Rhiann Edmonds, Just waiting for Emma Finucane, who's just done a interview on the big screen to make her way to join her fellow medalists. Finucane's contribution to this weekend of racing here in Manchester has been pitch perfect. Like Matt Richardson, she hasn't put a foot wrong. She's been in absolutely sparkling form. The parallels between the two are there, and the comparisons are there for you to draw. Emerging dominance, not just on the British scene, where that is clear and emphatic, but increasingly stating the case for international supremacy as well. Two superstar riders showing off their wares over these last couple of days of racing here in Manchester, the national champs. Bronze medalist though, Rhian Edmonds, who survived a bit of a questionable moment where she could have had her first race against Rihanna Paris-Smith reversed, but she survived that judgment with a warning, and that helped her on her way to victory over Rihanna Paris-Smith. Iona Moya did her level best, having qualified for that gold medal match by rights to unseat Emma Finucane. But Finucane, who looks like she's barely done a day's work, dominated everything. Gold medalist in the Kieran as well to boot, and a national champion in the sprints. Taking over from Lauren Bell, who's won the last two sprints for the last couple of years. And returning to the top step of the podium that she last occupied back in 2023. With it, the silver platter of this historic, and again, that is a national title with a lot of stellar history attached to it as well. You think of the riders who have won this competition and then gone on to win at the very, very highest level at the Olympic Games. The succession looks like it belongs to her at the moment, in terms of the pedigree of British cycling. Emma Finucane. So the endurance men are being called forward now for the long-awaited medal presentation in the points competition. That's had its twists and turns, let's put it that way. Oh, Charlie Tanfield is there. That's good. I wondered whether he'd showered and gone home already, thinking that he wasn't going to get a medal, but perhaps to his great surprise, Charlie Tanfield, the gold medalist in the individual pursuit, is a silver medalist in the points race. But this is a genuine shock, isn't it? It's an upset of a result, Alice. Ben Marsh winning in this kind of company against Ben Wiggins and Charlie Tanfield and all the others, unseating Will Perrett's reign at the top. No one would have said Ben Marsh's name at the beginning of this weekend, and yet he's done it. And I think of all the gold medals that we've seen allotted over this weekend, this is by far the biggest upset.
Yeah, 100%. Not a rider that anyone was looking at, but of course did give him the opportunity to pick up that early lap, but then after that he raced it so intelligently. He followed everything that he needed to, made sure he was with the next lap, that when the favourites were getting those laps, but picking up loads of points along the way as well, just securing that. Of course, dying off towards the end as he's just here, about to step onto the top step. He's won medals as a junior, he's won jerseys as a junior, but here's his elite points race title.
Representing the University of Derby, the youngster Ben Marsh. One to watch definitely. If he can do that on a one-off performance, admittedly as one of the underdogs, perhaps a little bit under the radar and unmarked, what can he do next? That was a long race. It wasn't just at one fortuitous moment. He backed it up. A lot of confusion with the regulations that have recently changed on the interpretation of the rules. That had needed sorting out, but sporting justice, I think we can all agree, has been done there, and Ben Marsh gets his moment of glory. And even though the crowd has thinned out a little bit here after the action, those people, those spectators who have remained in the velodrome, and even plenty of people in the track centre as well, are acknowledging that performance that came a little bit out of the blue. Flanked by a Wiggins and a Tanfield, Ben Marsh makes his way from the podium, from the top step of the podium, with an illustrious trophy, a jersey and a medal, and the best sort of medal as well. Just the men's Kieran now. The last medals to be handed out here in Manchester. Will Monday and Matt Richardson just reliving that final Keirin. Richardson went so early, just putting on a total exhibition in the final race.
Yeah, Monday, the rider that did have his wheel in that Kieran, tried to follow it, but the power of Richardson wasn't quite able to follow it all the way over the top, but the positioning that gave him, able to secure a medal, he couldn't believe it.
He's so strong, isn't he, Richardson? He gets the jump so powerfully, nobody's able to hold his wheel, but then the fact that he can just hold it for as long as he can makes him, at the moment, in this particular field, just a class apart.
Yeah, definitely in this field, he's the rider that can get up to speed so quickly, so smoothly, and then continue at that speed and really build on it. No one else can match him.
Hamish Turnbull, also on the podium. A rider who has switched allegiance from Australia to British cycling to further his career, to see what else he can get out of his career in the many years to come, that he'll still be on top. But this is a very, very good moment from Will Monday, who's not the oldest of riders, but he is very experienced, and a bronze medal here in that kind of company against a stacked final full of GB-based riders from Team Inspired is a very decent reward. Hamish Turnbull did a lot of work with his nose in the wind, actually, to hold on to that silver medal position, and that was a strong performance.
It was Monday upsetting the Team Inspired sprint podium lockout here that we've seen so much this week.
No doubt about the winner, though, and for the third time, Manchester this weekend stands to salute dominant rider on the British national scene, without question at the moment, pulling on another national champions jersey, this time in the Kieran, to go with the team sprint and the individual sprint, over the top of his European champions jersey. Just business as usual, another day at the office for Matt Richardson, but we are witnessing, I think, the emergence of a dominant rider. Whether he can transfer that to the very highest level, stamp his authority over the world scene, is still a question he needs to totally answer, but the signs are good. The signs are very good, and Matt Richardson has given the crowd exactly what they wanted to see. Top performances, very good podium, and top of the pile, a true champion in Matt Richardson. hopefully we can have a very quick word with the winner of the points race, young Ben Marsh, who's ready to talk to us.
Ben, congratulations. That was some ride. You even had to fight to get the right result at the end as well. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's been a pretty emotional roller coaster the last sort of hour. Obviously, I came off the track thinking I'd won, and obviously it was a bit of a weird situation at the end where I kind of thought I'd lost, not won, and then obviously just before the podium I won. So yeah.
What were you, I mean, you really dominated that race, and you weren't one of the favourites. I mean, talk us through how you approached that.
I think I raced without thinking, almost not thinking. Like, I think I've come into events like this with a solid plan, and I think I just needed to adapt things, and I think just coming in without a solid plan meant that I was able to ride freer. So yeah, I knew I had to get ahead before riders like Perrott and Wiggins and all the kind of the engines went. And after taking those that first lap, all I had to do was stay ahead, and I just about managed to do that. So yeah,
you certainly did. And I mean, how much confidence does that give you now? And what's the plan from here for you?
I think I want to. The whole big goal is to get to the Commonwealth Games this year for Wales, and I think hopefully that puts me more in contention for that. So I think, yeah, that's the next big goal, I suppose.
Great. Well, congratulations. Really great ride. Well done.
Cheers. Thank you.
Great to get the thoughts of the points champion and the emotional roller coaster that he's been on over the last hour or so. Well, they eventually sorted out the results in the points competition, and he's absolutely right that a rider like him needs to get ahead of the game and can't wait to react when as he said, the big engines get going. The race has basically gone, so he sprang a surprise on them. No surprise though that this man won. Let's have
National
a word
Kieran
with Matt
champion.
Richardson.
How's that feel?
Yeah, pretty good. 3 from 3 this year, 6 from 6 total. So yeah, I can't really complain.
And that was a really emphatic win. Did you go out there to dominate, or did it just happen like that?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of happens. I mean, my plan is to get out of trouble, get ahead, and don't look back. So that sort of move and that sort of tactic with those sort of riders in the race ends up being quite a display of speed as well. But yeah, my plan was just to stay out of trouble and get out in front.
Great. Well, it's been a really successful week here at the Nationals generally, and for you as well. How much are you enjoying being part of GB's cycling team, and where do you think this puts British cycling on the road to LA 28?
Yeah, I think it's a really good step. I mean, it's been a great year and a half for me since joining the Great British Cycling Team, and I've really enjoyed it. National champs especially, it's a really good race. It's really fun racing in front of this many people, and yeah, I think it's all encouraging leading into the next 2 years towards LA.
Well, good luck. Congratulations. Yeah, I hope it goes well.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Matt taking it all in his massive stride. Matt Richardson giving the punters what they want over the last 4 days, as has Emma Finucane, as has Ben Marsh this evening, as have the commissaires. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much to my co-commentator and spiritual and tactical guide over the last few days, Alice Wood, and we will see you all next year at the British National Championships. For now, goodbye.